Collingwood eye a ninth consecutive win and the chance to move inside the AFL's top four as they face old rivals Essendon from the MCG. Two informed sides as the Bombers have won 3 of their last 5 and a chance to gather some real momentum in the closing rounds of the season and spoil some of the contenders' chances. Matt Clinch with you for ABC Sport. Perfect day for footy, 17 degrees and starting to feel like September. Collingwood's one of the great clubs, so let us go straight inside the camp, and we're about to be joined by Darcy Moore, who can join us on ABC Sport. Darcy, great to have your company just before the game to get underway. Normally we see you wandering around the ground with the noise-cancelling headphones on. What are you listening to? What's it like before a big game against the Bombers?
Thanks, Matt. It's good to be here. Normally a bit of a mixed bag, but if I had to pick a couple of artists, it'd probably be mostly Tame Impala, is an Aussie favourite of mine, and then a bit of Kanye West or a bit of Frank Ocean or something like that. So it's normally a bit of a mixed bag, though.
So is that the type of stuff that revs you up before a game, or are you trying to be relatively laid back?
Yeah, more probably laid back, and just sort of trying to reset. And music's powerful for controlling your mindset and your mental space, so I just sort of use it in that regard to either bring me up or calm me down if it's a particularly big game.
It's been such an incredible season for Collingwood, the first under Craig McRae. A chance to go 9 on the trot today. Have you been surprised as to how quickly it's come along, and obviously have had some great success in close games? Man,
it's extraordinary, isn't it? Probably couldn't have, in some ways, thinking back to the start of the year, it's we'd be pinching ourselves if we said that we'd be at round 19 in this position, like you said, having won 8 in a row against some of the best teams in the comp as well. So it's going great, but having said that, I've been around for long enough to know that anything can happen in the AFL, and you just got to hit some good form at the right time and sort of unlock what your team does well at the right time, and then momentum's an amazing thing, as we've learned in the last few months. So it's been good, mate. It's been really exciting, and we're hitting now Essendon for the second time this season, and they're coming into some good form as well. So it's going to be an exciting day.
Yeah, it's set up beautifully. Temperatures almost finals-like, and a chance to play
that big burning orb thing in the sky has decided to show itself for the first time in months.
Yep, and obviously a chance to move inside the top 4. So you think back to Anzac Day, it was a great clash. I think you had the wrestle on Peter Wright for a lot of the afternoon, who you'll probably have again today. So it's a great challenge, isn't it?
Totally, yeah. It feels like completely different season, doesn't it, compared to Anzac Day to where we are now. And like I said before, Essendon obviously had their struggles early in the season and then have now been able to find some form and find their groove in many ways. So here we go again. It's another big clash, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. So we're excited.
So Collingwood fans would have found it hard to watch all these close finishes. What about for you out there? Do you feel like there's a degree of, training and execution there that's going well? Or are there a few concerning signs that they are proving to be such close matches?
Completely. I had to watch the North Melbourne game from a corporate box, and it was the most stressful 2 hours of my life. So I really empathise with the fans over the last few months. But to be honest, I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag. We've had games where we should be able to put teams away by more and put a gap on the opposition and then keep them there. Games like GWS, probably games like Hawthorn as well. I thought there were moments where we had some real ascendancy and control, and we were, put some scoreboard pressure on. Then we just sort of loosened our grip a bit, and then the game became tight. Even Carlton as well, 4 or 5 goals up, and then we opened the door for them late. So in those games, I would say yes. We've, it's probably in some ways a little bit of a failure to just put teams away. But having said that, against the really good sides and the tight games that we've had, even Adelaide last week, they really turned it on the last quarter as well. And I think, like you said, we've had a lot of practice now at those tight games, and we've developed a lot of trust with each other. And you just can't replicate it, being out on the G in front of thousands of people and having to execute with 60, 30, 20 seconds left. And, a ball thrown on a boot can lose you the game. So the amount of discipline that the young guys have shown and that we've all shown in those moments is really valuable and sets us up well for big games in finals. But also, having said that, in those moments, it is just a bit of a, it's a bit of a roll of the dice. You never really know if you can get it done. But I think the pleasing part is it's no accident that we've won 8 in a row and so many of them have been tight. So we've got a lot of faith in ourselves in that regard.
Yeah, I was going to say, winning always helps, doesn't it, when you're playing in those close games? Darcy Moore's with us on ABC Sport ahead of Collingwood and Essendon from the MCG this afternoon. Give us a little insight into playing against Peter Wright. You're both 200 centimetres, but obviously he's the challenge on the lead and you're trying to not give him too much space. So how do you try and go about it?
Yeah, certainly. He's definitely one of the bigger key forwards, being over 200 centimetres, which makes a big difference. So yeah, he's just got a really big reach and he's just such a beacon for them. They look for him, sort of, even though their form's waned a little bit this season, he's been, consistently a big target for them. So playing on him, you're going to see plenty of the ball and see plenty of contests. So going to have my work cut out for sure. And, we are probably a little bit undersized back there at the moment. And Jeremy Howe and Nathan Murphy have been doing an awesome job of supporting me as well. So it's always a bit of a group effort back there. But like I said, I know, playing on Big Pete, that you're going to see plenty of the ball and plenty of contests, because if they're under pressure, their midfielders are going to look for him. And then, of course, their record at centre bounce speaks for itself. So that's another test as well for our defence. So we're going to have to bring it in that part of the game today.
How do you feel like your back six is gelling? It feels like there's a little bit of battle in the air sometimes between yourself, Jeremy Howe. He can take a screamer, and all of a sudden Nathan Murphy has shown almost sort of silly courageousness flying back with the flight. Do you have to make sure you communicate well with each other to make sure you're not doing any damage?
Absolutely. That's definitely king. I've definitely got a bit of a rep of taking Howie out from time to time, and we had a clutch one late last week, which had us pulling our hair out, where we just knocked each other over. And then obviously, like you said, Nathan and Jeremy had that massive clash a few weeks before, but that just shows appetite, doesn't it? Guys that just want to compete, which is awesome, and you'd much rather that than guys hesitating. So, and just on Nathan, like you said, he's come into the team and just definitely made us better. Like, we always knew he was courageous. He's always got that extraordinary appetite to compete and never give up. But this year he's come in, 2 months ago now, and shown some real composure and an ability to influence games. Like, he's intercepting the ball, and if the opposition doesn't pay enough attention to him, he's able to sort of intercept and then make him pay going the other way. So I'm really proud of him. He's had a tough first 5 years of his career with lots of injuries and bad luck. So it's awesome to see him come in and actually make us better. He's one of the reasons why we've been on this amazing run. He's playing an awesome role for us back there.
You obviously had the scare with the knee against the Gold Coast Suns. You might put some of those footy journos out of a job if you're just posting it on Instagram. I'm all okay. Don't stress, everyone, rather than waiting for you at rehab or at the club. How's it been feeling, and how much of a relief was that? Obviously, you've missed parts of footy through injury, so obviously have the initial scare, but then to realise that you're right to continue in the second half of the season.
Oh, mate, it was extraordinary, and I just I just got so much support from all around the industry, opposition players, even people in the media, just reaching out and wishing me all the best, and I just felt pretty overwhelmed by it. I felt really supported, and it was really great. So yeah, to be able to break the news that it was all clear, and that it was just a bit of a banged up knee, and just was only going to miss 1 or a couple of weeks. So that was a massive relief, and it was a bit of a roller coaster 48 hours, to be honest, to go from thinking, just not knowing. Obviously something like that happens, and you think, it shows you how at the click of a finger's 12 months of your career can just pass you by, and how much luck's involved in this game. And then to get away with one like I did, and to have my body hold up and support me in that awkward position when your knee's at that angle, it was pretty extraordinary. So I'm just feeling really grateful to be out here, new lease on life, to be able to run around the Savo when it can go wrong so quickly, as we saw.
Darcy Moore's with you on ABC Sport. A player for you who's getting closer to return is Brodie Grundy. Obviously, it's a bit challenging for him when there's a lot of speculation around his future, where he'll be, will he stay at the club? You've kind of experienced a bit of that yourself. So how hard is it when you're in that scenario where you're not able to get out and play, and yet you're perennially asked the same questions when you roll into training?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like in many ways, the industry has short-term memory, forgetting, when guys don't play, what they're capable of and how good they are and how much of an impact they have. And we're definitely seeing that with Brodie. I mean, it's scary, really. It's scary that, we've got someone like him of his stature in the game, one of the, best ruckmen in the AFL over the last decade, to come back into this team that's already won 8 in a row. It's pretty extraordinary. And we've got big guys like Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox holding the fort, playing good footy and supporting each other as well. So it's so exciting, man. And we've struggled over the last few months from centre bounce. You know, we're not impacting as well there or scoring as well from there. And I think losing Brodie is a massive part of that, because we know how combative and just and how strong and technically sound he is in there, both with his tap work, but then just his ability to ruck out games. He rucks 90-95% of games, so he can really wear down opponents over 2 hours, and that's probably something that we've missed, having him out. So it's really exciting, mate. But like you said, he's had 3 or 4 months out of the game, and he plays the most difficult position on the ground, particularly with a knee injury. So it's an awesome decision to give him time to just find his feet, and when he comes back and runs around in the MCG, he'll be bulletproof. So it's exciting for the fans, and I know a lot of them are super pumped to see him back out here.
Are you confident he can get back to his best? I mean, when he was playing at his best in those All-Australian years, he was almost like an extra midfielder for you guys. But as you perfectly outline it, it's such a challenging role to play the physical side of it, of being a big ruckman, but then try and have the mobility of a midfielder.
Absolutely, and definitely something that there aren't any players in the league really that do it perfectly. So Brodie's really well placed to come back after a bit of a layoff, and he'll have fresh legs and be able to hit the last couple of games before hopefully the finals, and then and have an enormous impact. And he's just such a trusted teammate, and he sends a shiver through opposition midfielders, that's for sure, when he comes bearing down on them. So we're excited to see him back.
Someone who Collingwood fans always love watching is Jack Ginnivan. Mm-hmm. Does he have some new hair for today, for big stage occasion?
He does. The rumours are true. He's got a bit of a haircut, so he's he looks pretty sharp. But no, he's been an exciting young player. Hey, I'm asked questions about him every week about this, that, or the other thing. But he's an exciting player, man, and we've got obviously lots of goals out of him this year, but more importantly, we've been able to develop some real chemistry up the front there between him and Brodie Myercheck and Jamie Elliott, to be able to get some consistently play games together and learn how each other play and complement each other. And I think that's the really exciting thing for us going forward.
Well, I feel like I need to fill up the bingo card now. You mentioned Jack Ginnivan, so Nick Dacos, I mean, how exciting. 40 disposals, 3 goals. To see him playing alongside Scott Pendlebury, it feels like there's the present, the future and the past all combining in one.
It's great, isn't it? It was great theatre last week, wasn't it? Having them combined together in the midfield, it was awesome. No, same with Nick. He's just come in and shown us what he's good at, which is great. And we love that. He's obviously starting in the half back line his career, and he's taken great strides and really putting opposition to the sword with ball in hand. So it's fun, man. It's an exciting time for the club. We're a young team, and we've got so much upside still. Like you said, we're in good form and playing well, but we've got upside. The next sort of 12, 24 months looks exciting for us. So we're keen to see what Nick's capable of, and then what the rest of the team is too.
Yeah, with Brodie Grundy and Jordan Agoe to come back in. Taylor Adams has just run out behind you, so just a final question on him. 150th game for the Magpies. What a rock he's been for you in the middle of the ground.
Oh, absolutely. He really is an extraordinary teammate. He's what you guys see 2 hours on a weekend is someone who just doesn't hesitate in the contest and just smashes in repeatedly, and he's such a barometer for our team. When he's competing well, we're all standing taller and competing well as well, so that's great. But then from Monday to Friday at the club, he's just so committed to us improving. He's just hungry to get better, and he pushes everyone else with his training and the way he prepares to get better as well. So he's an awesome, valued member of our team, and 150 games is pretty extraordinary considering he's had some injury issues. He's had some soft tissue problems, some concussion problems, and a raft of injuries. So he's been remarkably consistent given all that. So it's awesome to run out with him again today.
Darcy, as always, thanks for your time. Thanks to Nadine and Collingwood for making you available before the game. So what do you do now? What do you do before the opening bounce at 3:20?
A bit of physio now, and then pretend to listen to the coach in the meeting, and then chuck the headphones on. Bit of Tame Impala, and then away we go.
Go well. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
So great to have Darcy Moore before the opening bounce between Collingwood and Essendon. Let's head up to our commentary box. Corbin Middlemass is up there alongside Mark Murphy and Luke Ball.
Thanks heaps, Clinchy. Nice to hear from Darcy Moore just moments before the bounce. Collingwood and Essendon coming up for you on Grandstand AFL. So there's no late change here at the MCG. Now the two Medi-subs, Josh Carmichael for Collingwood and Braden Ham for the Bombers. So Essendon with the same 23 that beat Gold Coast last Sunday. Meanwhile for Collingwood, Isaac Quaynor and Taylor Adams are the two that come back in. Ollie Henry misses out, who was the unused sub last week, and Trey Rusco loses his place for the Magpies. As you mentioned, Mark Murphy and Luke Ball are here. Hello, Bally.
Corb. Yeah, it's good to be here, isn't it? Sun shining at the G, and hopefully a big crowd. Really looking forward to this one. Should be a beauty.
Murph's back with us after a stint this morning on Grandstand AFL Sunday on double duties, Murph.
Yeah, thanks, Corby. It's good to be here. As Boy said, sun's shining. No better place to be than at the G.
There's another game going on at the moment. Your Baggers are in action. Darcy Parish from the Bombers is about to join us. But first, Aaron Bryans is across what's happening at Docklands. As what's the latest?
Corby, Carlton by 10 points, 6 minutes into the third, so they've extended their half-time lead thanks to Jack Silvani, who kicked a set shot from the top of the goal square. It's 11 points, Ryan Dew, 6-8-44 to the Giants, 5-3-33. The big news at the moment, though, from this term is that Sam Walsh has had to be carried off the ground by 2 trainers. He had his left ankle crunched in a tackle from Callan Ward. Looks in a lot of pain and he's gone straight down to the room. So at the moment, Carlton by 11 points and some concerns for their young superstar Sam Walsh.
That's a worry, Murph.
Ooh, it is. I'm not sure which ankle it was prior to the season with his syndesmosis, so let's hope it's not too bad. But, yeah, in terms of being a recurrent ankle, let's hope it is the other one and not too bad.
Sam Walsh missing, just 38 days with his syndesmosis at the start of the season. I'm pretty sure I did his return game, so, yeah, I haven't got it written down.
He did only miss 5 to 6 weeks, didn't he? And usually syndesmosis can be anywhere from 6 to 12, really. It depends on the severity. He had surgery on it.
He's played a lot of footy since, though, hasn't he? And he had a lot of miles on the clock, so this could just be, it could be the other leg we're waiting here, and it could be completely unrelated. But fingers crossed for Blues supporters and for everyone, really. It's great, when he's out there playing.
Was his right ankle that he had the surgery on? So
yeah.
Right ankle concern for Sam Walsh earlier in the year with his syndesmosis surgery. 11 points, Carlton's lead there over the Giants. We'll keep you updated. The G's filling up. It's always a great feeling. Bright sunshine at the MCG, 18 degrees, partly cloudy, but they're already sitting in the back row of the Great Southern Stand, or the Shane Warne Stand as it's now known. So fingers crossed we get a big crowd today for 2 arch rivals, Essendon and Collingwood. I mentioned Darcy Parish has been good enough to join us. All-Australian, a man who wears the most famous number at the Essendon Football Club in number 3. Unfortunately, he won't be out there today. Darcy, appreciate your time.
G'day, boys. You got a great view up here, so a little bit jealous. But, yeah, going to be spectating today, and hopefully the boys can, bring the effort and the attitude and, get another good result.
Can he start? I reckon he can start,
you're welcome to stick around if you want.
Spell. I reckon you'd love to call the footy with Darcy Parish.
And watch the game with us. So very much an Essendon lens, I'm sure, Darcy, if you and I are...
Both wearing the same footwear too, Corby, so you're working hand in glove very well at the moment.
It's what we do. How are you going, firstly? How's your calf?
Yeah, going well. I ran again this morning, so I've done 3 sessions now on legs, which is good to be moving around again. It's obviously been a bit frustrating. It always is, sitting on the sidelines, and I'm getting there. I think another 2 weeks away, so I missed another 2 games, but it's been great to see the boys performing really well and building something pretty special this back end of the year.
Is it unusual that you've had a number of calf injuries this year? It felt like you sort of had a niggle, then came back, and then out again for a prolonged period. I don't remember you having too many soft tissue injuries in the past.
Yeah, it was pretty unlucky, I think. I got a fair corky in the Carlton game. That's going back 6 or so weeks ago, and had a couple of weeks out with that. I couldn't even bloody walk after that. It was pretty sore, and then just as a result, I think the strength and strengthening it up. I did a strain, so the Sydney game. So, it was pretty unlucky, but I've been watching the boys going really well on the sidelines, which has been nice.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Paul. You're right.
I was just going to say, what have you seen? What you mentioned, obviously you'd like to be out there, but it has been an easier watch, hasn't it? We were just chatting off air over the last 3 weeks. What have you seen? Through the middle of the ground or just across the board that's really impressed you?
Yeah, ever since the bye, I reckon we sort of touched on and we wanted to get back to our pressure and our contest work, and I think that's been very evident in these last few games, and we've just been bringing the effort and contested footy, and we've been actually going really hard on our work and our slow D and that sort of thing, because we've been getting pants the first half of the year, so we're still growing, still learning these areas, but you can definitely see just the effort the boys are leaving out there, which is great.
One guy that I think's really stood out from that point of view is Jai Corbell, and again we were chatting off air. You being out has probably forced a bit of a reshuffle through the middle, but it looks like it's almost been a conscious effort to almost rebalance the midfield a bit. So, Dylan Shields back in form, which is great. Zach's back playing really well. But Jai going in and playing a bit more of a defensive role, that seems to have worked pretty well as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you touched on, Shealy's found his mojo again, which is great for our footy club. He just brings another strength of our midfield with that speed and breakaway. And Jai, he's been putting his hand up and going to the best mids week in, week out. Not a heavy tag, but just accountable to him at stoppages and then working off him from there. So it suited him really well, not having to think, and he's getting to the ball most of the time on these good players and then just beating them at their own thing. So it's been great.
Too much away. Does he line up? Does he go and stand next to someone today? Or
I'm not too sure who there is. There's obviously a few good players there for Collingwood. Obviously Pendles has been elite for years now, but there might be a match up there.
What's your role been over the last sort of 5 to 6 weeks, being out of the side, being one of the leaders at the football club?
Yeah, so the first couple of weeks has been pretty lonely. Like, I've been in rehab and that sort of thing, and you sort of, I don't know, you get lost a little bit with the main group and the footy players. But the last week I joined the coaches up in the box, which was a unique experience. I just sat in the back corner and didn't say too much because bloody hell, they just don't stop talking and that sort of thing. But it's been a great experience, that sort of thing. And just meetings, I've been looking at stoppages a fair bit with Kara and Cam Roberts at the minute. So and then just training like craft and stuff like that. I've been working alongside a few of the boys like Jai and Sheila and Zachy. So it's been good. It's been unique. But learning little bits here and there.
Had you sat in the box before?
No, that was my first time last week, so it was a unique experience. Yeah.
How did it compare to what you thought it would be going in?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect. Before the ball even had balled up, I was like, they were going off, like all our coaches. I'm like, what is going on? The ball, it hasn't even started yet, guys. Like, just relax. But yeah, I think that's just the norm of the coaches' box. And we didn't have Kara in there last week, so we got him in today. So it might be different again.
Is there anything that you learnt that you'll take with you when you're back on the field, thinking, gee, that's a different perspective that I wasn't counting on?
Yeah, probably just don't make too many mistakes because you absolutely cop it. They just say whatever they want to up there. But yeah, obviously they just see the whole game or across the field. So it's nice to actually watch it from up high. So it was pretty cool.
Darcy Parish with us from the Essendon Football Club, All-Australian last year, of course, unfortunately injured with his calf, so not playing today or for the next couple. It's a beautiful day at the MCG. There's no late change between the Bombers and the Pies. As the sort of sports guy easy analysis type view of the Bombers, there's a lot of focus obviously on yourself, on Dylan Shiel and on Zach Merritt. So 3 accumulators, you're all brilliant players, get lots of the footy, but the question is it one too many of the same kind of guy? You look at, I guess, your numbers this year when all 3 of you have played, the team hasn't won all that much. When one of you misses, it feels like that, and anecdotally at least, it shows that the team's better off, that they win more. How do you best coexist, do you think, as the 3 of you in the same 22?
Yeah, I think it's just getting games together. Like, we obviously missed Zachy at the start of the year, and then it was me and Shealy. And Shealy's got his mojo back now, and I've been out. So just that consistency, playing together, and I think we're all super different compared to one another. So we're just going to bring each other into the game more and more the more games we play together. So I'm super excited to finish the back end of the season off with them guys and build something really special as a midfield group, along with Jai as well. So it's going to be great.
That's interesting. There'll be a lot of people that think, they're all the same guys because they all get lots of numbers. What do you think you guys do differently? I guess that your key elements, I guess, that you bring to the game.
Well, Zachy's decision making, I think, off the ball and the way he uses the footy is probably nearly the best in the competition, I feel. And Shealy, you can see his past few weeks, he's getting back to the stoppage stuff, the clearance stuff, and that breakaway speed. Like, I don't think anyone has that in the comp either. So, and then Jai, he's going to the best mids as well, being accountable for them, but he brings another bow to the strength. So, and then myself, I'm probably a little bit more balanced, not as quick as Shealy and that, but we sort of will complement each other really well, I feel.
What about back of centre, mate? That one thing that's really stood out in the last month or so with the run of form has been that real run and bounce that probably the club had been synonymous with over the last couple of years, and it mightn't have been there at the start of the year. Part of that was personnel, no doubt about it. But it also looks like the coaches have just released the shackles a little bit. And I'm interested in particular asking about your old housemate and a great mate of yours, Andy McGrath, going back to halfback. Yep. And alongside Mason Redmond, who's having a terrific year, and Nick Hind, whose second half of the year has been really good. To me now, that trio in particular is a real strength of yours, and it looks like the coaches have said, okay, let's get back to giving those guys the licence to really create and rebound, and you just look so much more dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that back 6 or 7 now is becoming really settled. Like Pidge has been back there a couple of weeks now, back from his injury, and yeah, I think his calmness just brings that different dimension to the back few, because Hindy and Redders can be sort of off with the fairy sometimes, so he settles them down a bit. But as you said, like they're bringing their strengths, just playing with real flair, and I think like Jaden and even Jake Kelly and Rids and these guys are sort of our more lockdowns, and that's allowing these other guys to run and carry the footy, which has been really dangerous for us.
Now, have you noticed anything from the coaches over the last month, even since the bye, since the turnaround in form? Has there been a slight tweak in the messaging? I know, knowing Ben, he's very measured and calm throughout the week, but has there been a slight tweak from the coaching staff as well?
Yeah, just like what I touched on, more that effort sort of based stuff with our contest, ability to out-tackle the opposition, win contested ball. That's sort of what we're, I guess, aiming for each and every week, and then obviously working on our attack and our defence off that. So, but it starts with that effort-based stuff, which we weren't sort of bringing at the start of the year. So I've been really pleased with that the last couple of weeks.
Go on, Bully.
I was going to say, Sammy Draper said, clearly there's 5 rounds left, and you're obviously only not looking for no further than today, but the big fella said that even if we can't get in there, we want to shape it. We want to make some teams earn it or stir it up a bit. That's clearly been a focus over the last few weeks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We just want to keep building, and I guess we're coming up against some good opposition now this back end of the year, so that they're going to be probably playing finals. So to see where we're at as a group, and just keep building into next pre-season and next year, which is exciting.
Did he kick goal of the year last week, Big Sammy?
Yeah, bloody hell, I haven't seen it that many times. It's got replay all throughout the week, and he's been strutting around, the big fella. But it wasn't a bad effort from him. He brings that flair and excitement, and the crowd loves seeing him, and we love seeing him up and about too. So
he's a magnificent athlete, isn't he?
Yeah.
People we see the big and the mullet and all that sort of stuff, but I think he was a 200, 400 runner growing up in his teenage years. So he's it wouldn't surprise you to see some of that, some of those efforts last week.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes when he gets it out of the centre bounce, like me and Zachy are trying for a handball receive, but we can't even catch him. He's quicker than us, so he's hard to stop. And when he's up and going, it's great for the side.
It's great predictability to have as a guy like that in the middle. And we were trying to draw comparisons to other players in the league last week, and there's no one really like him. And I threw up Nick Natanui, who obviously, Nick's a pure player and he's an All-Australian and everything, so I don't want to sort of set the bar too high for Sam, but he does do those little things that you're just not expecting that I'm sure would catch opposition teams off guard.
Yeah, it even catches us off guard sometimes. So, it's great to have him up and flying, and he's only been really playing the game since he was 17, so to see enormous growth in Sammy, he's still got plenty more to offer, so it's going to be great.
Can you give us an insight into his mentality? Is he aggressive out in the field? Is he completely different from off-field to on-field? What's he like?
Yeah, he goes into the games pretty aggressive and fizzed up. He gets the tunes and that pumping before the game, but like you see, he sees the energy, brings the energy in that after the game, and that's just him to a T, bringing that energy and that different side of the game, I suppose.
He seems to get along pretty well with Matty Guelphy too.
Yeah, they're housemates, so they shared a kiss there the other week, didn't they? So they're pretty close, them two.
We're getting closer to the bounce, so we've got to let you go, Das, but before we do, I just got a couple of competition-wide questions for you. So Collingwood, Essendon coming up, no late change here at the G. The AFL moved this week to clarify that if a player in a high tackle shrugs, drops or lifts the arm of an opponent, it'll be play on. Obviously, Jack Ginnivan's been front and centre for that. He's in action today. Do you feel like as a player that's a good move or a step backwards for the competition, that the ball carrier now, I guess, is responsible to try and make sure he's not taken high in a tackle?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it. Obviously, growing up, watching Selwood do it for many years, but he's been first in getting the ball. So there's obviously a little bit of protection there for the ball carrier if they're first in, but I guess it's on the tackler as well to execute the tackle properly, and it goes both ways, I feel, most weeks. So
can you do it?
No, I can't do it. I don't even think about doing it. I played with Reece Matheson growing up, and he used to do it all the time, and he's still doing it a little bit now. But, it's a unique sort of strength, I suppose, for some players.
Now, I've got two more. So the draw we saw on Friday night, so usual debate that happens in the footy world is, what's the best way to determine the outcome of a drawn game. Are you happy with 2 points being split, or do you think we should have some sort of extra time method in the regular season?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some extra time. Like, I'm a big NRL guy, and they do the golden point, so I think it's 5 minutes or whatever, and until the next team scores. So yeah, there's obviously some different unique results, I suppose, you can throw out there, and some different ways we can get a result. So yeah, who knows going forward.
How'd you become a big league fan?
Yeah, I don't know. I just watched plenty. The State of Origin's obviously a massive thing. I love tuning into that, and been watching the Melbourne Storm boys. They've been dominating for years now, so yeah, tune into them too. All
right, and last one, best team that you've played against this year. So we heard about Sam Draper's comments and want to be able to shape the finals. Do you look around the competition and think, gee, that's the team that I'm pointing the finger at this far out?
Oh, well, round one we played Geelong and they absolutely pantsed us. But you can just see their maturity as a group, and I suppose Melbourne as well to a extent. Just their, I guess, defence set up behind the ball, really hard to score against, and yeah, they've got sort of all systems covered. So probably one of them too, I feel.
Any Essendon player is welcome in here anytime, but as an All-Australian and the man who wears number 3, we love having you in the box. Appreciate you dropping by. Enjoy the game today and can't wait to see you back out in the green stuff soon.
No, thanks guys. Thanks for having me.
Darcy Parish with us from the Essendon Football Club. Unfortunately injured for the next couple of weeks with a calf complaint, but he's been good enough to join us here on ABC Radio across Australia ahead of Collingwood and Essendon. Just repeating, no late change. Josh Carmichael the sub for Collingwood and Braden Ham for the Bombers. Clinchie's about to come back in, but first let's see what's happening in the other game that's been played between Carlton and GWS with Aaron Bryant.
Corby, 3 straight goals for Carlton as the Blues up by a game-high 23 points. And there's more good news to come. Sam Walsh is back out on the ground after having his ankle crunched in a tackle. It looked awful. Went down into the rooms, had to be carried down there, but he's back out on the ground, racking up possessions once again. So the Blues 9-8-62, the Giants 6-3-39 with 22 minutes played in the third.
That's good news. What ankle was it, sorry, Aaron, that he hurt?
It was his left ankle that was crunched in the tackle.
Ankle? Yeah, so that's the opposite one that he had the syndesmosis on, and back in, before round 1 in the pre-season.
Yeah, so even it up, make sure they're a bit dodgy each way.
Nice to have Darcy in the box. Obviously, Bill, you were working at the Essendon Football Club for a period of time. Be nice to see him back out on the park soon.
Yeah, well, he's obviously really coming into those prime years and had a magnificent year last year, of course. Was going pretty well this year. I mean, he set a pretty high bar, didn't he? Yeah, until he got injured, but yeah, it would be good to see him back. It is interesting though. I thought there was a good line of questioning around that midfield group, and we'll see it again today. It does. Sometimes injury forces a bit of shuffling around or a bit of a rebalance, and the last couple of weeks that that ability for Collingwood to go in and play more of a defensive role, which still allows Merritt and Shield to hunt the footy and do what they do best, and Darcy spoke about playing to your strengths. When he comes back, it'll be interesting to see what that does to the Apple Cup.
Just on those numbers, so when all 3 of them played together, Parish, Merritt and Shield, they're 2 wins and 7 losses. And if any one of that combination misses, so if they have 1 of the 3, 2 of the 3, they're 4-4, but their average winning margin goes up and their average losing margin goes down. So they're much more competitive when only 2 of the 3 play. Now, as I said, they're all brilliant players, but it feels like they all can't just be accumulators that get 30 plus. And we saw Richmond's turnaround, that when they became a sort of dynastic team, Trent Cotchin's numbers went from 30 a game to 20 a game. So which one of those 3 is going to have a slightly different role to make it hum?
Well, I think not necessarily role, but I think the way, and it'll be a reflection of how the team plays too, Murph, because you could argue that at the start of the year they didn't have, the way they moved the ball was too stop-start. They didn't, and probably Dylan and Darcy in particular's ball use is the one thing that they're one. They're such brilliant players, but got great strengths around that. But the one thing that he needs to keep working on is his ball use. And so if you're talking about forward of centre, how they're delivering the ball inside 50. So then it's resulting in a mark and a shot at goal. It's not being rebounded back out, and sometimes that leads to those numbers a bit, because they can all have 35, but if they're not hitting targets, or they're scrubbing around a little bit or having an over handball, that can sometimes lead to that. So I think you're right. If you're a Bomber supporter, best case they're all playing their role. I mean, these days you need two teams of midfield groups to go in. You can't have your B team go in there and have a massive drop away. So you need guns across the board. Look at the Bulldogs. You look at two teams last night, Bulldogs and Melbourne, Geelong, depth through the middle. So there's obviously a role for them all, but they just need to clean up a few of those things, and a good 25 for each of them, that results in score involvements, kicking inside 50, will be a better outcome than all of them averaging 30.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you need 6 to 7 midfielders really going through there at any one time. And I think what we were seeing, we covered quite a few of those games earlier in the year, Corby. They were going wide. They weren't really penetrating a lot. So they were all probably playing the same sort of way in which they were hitting smaller kicks, going wide, forcing another handball. Whereas the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, obviously Parrish hasn't been involved in that side, but they've been going more direct, haven't they? And I think
is that a lack of faith in the start of the year and what's ahead of the ball?
Yep, there's an element of that. Right. Yep, I think so.
So they would rather maintain possession where they are than kick to a one-on-one or whatever it may be in the front arm.
Yeah, and again, it's all linked, as Darcy said there, their ability to defend on transition was worse than the competition. So part of it's that. Part of it is how you use the ball.
Yep.
As I said, if you're doing all the work, you're kicking it forward and turning it over,
it's coming back.
It's coming back quick, and it's hard to defend that at times. So they've just, fixing that up has allowed those guys to hunt the footy and play to their strengths.
I sort of feel they were getting a lot of their possession on the back half of the ground, whereas now they've got their players off the half-back line like Hind and McGrath's gone back there to support. They're sort of relying on those guys to be the running players out of defensive 50, and those midfielders been getting the ball further forward of centre and not getting those possessions deeper so much.
I'm wrapped that McGrath's gone back. He won the Rising Star in his first year as a half-back flanker. He catapulted in his under-18 year from nowhere really to the number 1 pick. I don't think he was in the academy team. He had a great carnival. I just think that's his role. I know that maybe because he was a number 1 pick, they tried to turn him into an inside mid. You've got to get him out of the congestion. I think they've got enough in there. The way he sees the game and his ability to use the footy and use his legs with the game in front of him, I think it's been a huge move. And as Darcy said, it's complemented Redmond and Hind, who perhaps don't think as much about the game. They're just natural players. Having McGrath's game sense and nous behind the footy has allowed them to play to their strengths. So McGrath, Hind, Redmond is as good a half-back line, running half-back line as there is in the competition now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Andy McGrath's like on field, but he tends to ooze similar Sam Doherty sort of feels from my point of view. So, I'd assume he'd be a great leader, great talker, and organising his teammates, and then just being that bloke to just take the game on and run and use his real class. I feel he's similar echelon to a Sam Doherty, and you've seen what he's been able to do over the last few years. I think Andy McGrath's on a similar type.
The voice of Mark Murphy and Luke Ball with you on Grandstand AFL Sunday. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemaster to call the action. I didn't think I was going to get my chair back for a moment. I thought Darcy was sort of reconsidering having sat in the front row alongside you, Corby. Maybe this would be more appealing than the coach's box, but eventually he did leave and I was able to slide back in. You would have heard the Bombers make their way out onto the MCG a couple of moments ago, and we're expecting a crowd of over 50,000 this afternoon. So how big might it be? It could be 60 or 70 with temperatures around 17 degrees for this Sunday afternoon clash. The Pies are only a few moments away, but they are wearing black armbands today to mourn the loss of a couple of their former players, and one, of course, which has played a pivotal part in Collingwood's history in Billy Picken, and Con Britt is the other player who has passed away in the last 48 hours. So Billy Picken, who featured in Collingwood's Team of the Century, dashing defender who could take spectacular marks, wore number 25, a two-time winner of the Copeland Trophy, and he spent a lot of his career playing on Mark McClure. So we asked him last night, tell us about his memories of playing on Billy Picken.
It's a very sad day, and for me, and especially for me, I played on him every time we played against Collingwood, and loved him. We had a great respect for each other, although we'd punch on every now and then and do all those silly things.
Every now and again?
Every time we could probably get near each other, and every now and then we'd go for a beer together after the game. And I love Billy, and it's not just a loss for Collingwood people. I think it's a loss for most people who follow football. Yeah. Anyone who follows football, he's passed with a heart attack, and I feel for his family and all those sorts of things. He was a terrific man. Everything was about fun. He'd call the game while we were playing. I'm going to take this mark over the top of you. You go, hello. And he did, which is, I loved him. I thought he was great. And it's a big loss to the football world.
So Vale to Billy Picken and to Con Britt, our thoughts and condolences to their family. And Sellers was reminiscing on the car ride home about his ability to commentate. Here comes Billy as he was charging in, and would often give you one in the marking contest. So, yeah, obviously had a fantastic career and so many great battles in the back of Collingwood and Carlton days where there was that great rivalry. The Magpies have made their way out onto the MCG. There's so much to like about the way Collingwood are playing at the moment. A chance to add another win to the consecutive streak to make it 9. Scott Pendlebury plays his 351st game, and we saw a little glimpse of the future with Nick Dacos last week, 40 disposals and 3 goals. So where do you assess Collingwood on the temperature gauge in terms of playing their best footy and competing against the best sides in 2022?
Yeah, well, I mean, 8 in a row, these day and age is fantastic, isn't it? There's this bit of a school of thought, Murph, that they're due a loss. You know, that's certainly not written in the rule book anywhere. So knowing their coach and their leaders, they certainly won't be thinking like that. I think the Bombers, the way they're playing at the moment, will sniff a win. And in a sense, they're playing a pretty similar brand of footy. Yeah, we just spoke about Essendon's ability just to release the shackles a little bit, get some good personnel back. That's the key to me, Murph. When you look at this Bombers team on paper now, even players like Langford and Snelling, who out of sight, out of mind a bit at the start of the year, are really important players to them. So they get it. It's the first week in a while they haven't had a change, so they get some continuity back, and some, Stringer and Jones and these sort of guys that were missing at the start of the year now have played a handful of games together. So they go in, or they should go in, feeling really confident. And to me, it's going to be a great midfield battle as always. Pies, from a centre bounce point of view, have really struggled this year since Grundy's gone out. So that's going to be a challenge for them. Dylan Shield, we spoke about before, has been the number 1 centre clearance player. So since he came under heat and almost lost his spot in the team, he's had a terrific response to that. So as always, that's going to be a great battle. And then is that half-back line at either end. Collingwood's ability through Dacos and Quain all comes back into the team, which is great. Crisp, their ability to transition the ball from back to front has been superb really all year, and the Bombers last month, they've really been able to do that brilliantly as well. So it augurs well for a pretty exciting game of up and back footy, Murph. Hopefully a high scoring game, conditions beautiful.
It does, and the one thing I'm actually interested to see is, do they go to Nick Dacos? And if Nick Dacos is playing in the midfield, does a Jai Caldwell go to him? I think if he's playing off a half-back flank, I'd expect Mac Welfie to go to him. I just think he plays that sort of annoying half-forward role who won't just let Nick Dacos do what he likes. I think they'd be mad not to put someone near him, put a little bit of time into him, because he's easily their best ball user. Pendlebury's their best ball user around the ground. Nick Dacos is the one who's really going to cut you up, and is really highly involved in their score involvements. And as you saw last week, having 40 disposals and kicking 3, and knowing he's a first-year player, you'd expect he's not going to be at his height of fitness yet as well. So if you put someone near him who has been around football for a while, who's been in the weights room for 4 or 5 years, is as fit as they're probably ever going to be. Guelphy's probably that sort of matchup, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's going to be a watch, isn't it? And we saw Nick Dacos, this is, of course, spent more time in the middle last week, and it was almost, they were under the pump a bit. It was almost, let's get our best guys in there. So it will be a watch to see where he starts. Now that, off the back of that game, they're going to have to pay attention, regardless of whether he's a first-year player or not. When someone has 40 and 3 the week before, you're going to have to pay some attention to him. So I'd expect some close physical attention, whether it's Caldwell in the middle or Guelphy, who's really playing that role well and becoming a really valuable player for the Bombers across half forward. And at the other end, we mentioned Hine, we mentioned McGrath and Mason Redmond, who I think he'd be winning Essendon's best and fairest. He's starting to get some recognition. I think he should be in the sort of mix for all Australian halfback flank. High possession winner. We know he's a beautiful kick of the footy, and he's been getting forward and kicking goals as well. So looking at guys like McCreary, who I love watching play. He's just an animal. Yeah, Mr. The pressure animal. McCreary, Elliott, even Josh Dacos, guys like that across half forward from the Pies have got a big job today to be able to, put enough pressure on the Bombers' ball use and try and block up the corridor and force them to go wide. So both teams will have strategic challenges in a sense with how each other want to play today. But it's exciting. As I said, there's a bit of a school of thought that the Pies' luck's going to run out eventually, isn't it? But the reality is the way they should be looking at it, if they win today, they're in the top 4 at the end of the round. So there's no reason why this young group with some experience head leading the way should be thinking like that today.
Luke Ball and Mark Murphy, your experts on Grandstand AFL Sunday. 3/4 time at Docklands. The Blues and the Giants. Let's get an update from Aaron Bryans.
Clinchy Carlton leading by 17 points heading into the final quarter. A 4-goal to 2 term for them, so they extended that half-time lead from 3 to 17. Sard nearly took a Mark of the Year contender to back up what Toby Green did earlier in the contest. He actually cleaned up James Peatling in the process, stuck a knee in the back of his head, so he's gone down for a concussion test. For Carlton, 9-8-62. The Giants 7-3-45 at 3/4 time.
Thanks, Aaron Bryans keeping us across all the action there. Jack Ginnivan, he's been such a talking point throughout the week, so much so he might be one of the first players to have a rule interpretation slightly altered based around the way in which he approaches the footy. I mean, he kicked 5 on Anzac Day, so he doesn't seem overwhelmed by the attention, but you would have been in the locker room with guys who carry a similar sort of confidence, exuberance about their own performance. What do you think we'll get from him today?
I think we'll get something similar to what he's been producing. I don't think he's going to change his ways. I'm not sure about changing the mindset of the umpires this late on in the season about high tackles. I'm one, if you can't get low enough, then bad luck.
Yep.
I sort of don't like the look of players reaching out and initiating the contact, but there's very few players that do it.
Yep.
So from my point of view, I think if you can't get low enough and you can't get him in the right way, then bad luck.
Yep.
If the bloke who's attacking the ball and gets to the ball first, I think all power goes to him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a Lee Matthews one, isn't it? When did we start barracking for the tackler? And even in the last 10 years, tackling has become so much more of a honed skill. I think in the Collingwood Adelaide game last week alone, there was 240 odd. So there's going to be some that, and high tackles, holding the balls. There's going to be some that are always hard to adjudicate. So I'm with you, Murph. Yeah, I think we played against guys that were really good at doing it. Players are smart. They know what to expect now, and I think we're seeing players adjust a bit. And from Ginnivan's point of view, I liked what the coach said. I think he's found a way to. Because in reality, he's playing to his strengths. He's not a quick player. He's a smart player. So, and we know he's terrific around goals. But he's working out ways in his young career to play to his advantage. But he can't be a one-trick pony, and that's what the coach said on record last week. So, I like the way that he handled that. He kicked 5 against them last time around. So. They're clearly going to have to pay him some attention. He's kicking goals. He's just kicking goals every week, so they're going to have to put some time into him today.
We've seen it already this weekend after they announced the adjudication. So what was it? Shrug, drop, or lift the arm of an opponent. Baller used to work with the umpires for all the things that the umpires have to worry about. To think that this is one other thing that in a split second they've got to decide. Did he drop the knees?
Yep.
What did it look like? I just feel like that's such a task we're asking our umpires to try and do something even more difficult.
Again, especially when there's on average 120 tackles a game. So I'm with you. There's going to be a couple wrong every week. Let's bank that and hope that it doesn't cost a team at either end. But let's move on.
Do you think it was a coincidence when the umpires were rostered on the game that all of a sudden the 9-time grand final umpire Matt Stevick is drawn to umpire Collingwood and Essendon with Jack Ginnivan playing in the week that they've made the rule tweak or altercation to make sure that their best umpire is here today? And
I saw you tweet about this earlier in the week, and you said he's going to be occupying the front third of the Collingwood.
I think he will spend a bit of time in there, Murph.
Oh, look, I'm not too sure that they've rostered him on because of Jack Ginnivan, and I'd be very surprised if that was the case, because today, is one of the games of the round. We're probably going to have, you'd assume, 68 to 70,000 here on a Sunday afternoon football. Collingwood going for their 9th straight win. Essendon fans are all up and about because they've won 3 in a row. So it's all set for a great game of football, and the mindset of both teams going in is going to be interesting because Collingwood no doubt will want to just shut out any hope of Essendon straight away, and Essendon are going to be relying upon starting really well and feeling good about themselves and just taking off from where they were last week.
I love your attention to detail, Corby. So you clearly think that they have, and I think we're on board with you as well. The final member of our team sitting in the front row of the grandstand this afternoon, Jess Webster, welcome to you.
G'day, Clinchy. I think the weather certainly isn't deterring any fans this afternoon. It's beautiful down here, 18 degrees and sunny, which is nice considering we've had a lot of rain in Melbourne during the week, and then we've got a lot of rain coming, so it's nice to see that the weather gods have been kind for us this afternoon. Great crowd building as well. I think we might actually nudge 70,000 here this afternoon. Great vibe already down here at ground level. Can't wait for it.
Thank you, Jess. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass to call the action. Mark Murphy and Luke Ball are your experts. So the floodlights on, but a beautiful day in Melbourne. Temperatures around 17 to 18 degrees, which suggests finals aren't that far away.
Jack Ginnivan to start on the bench. Matt Stevig's going to start in Collingwood's defensive 50. So he's not up front, Matt Stevig. He's got the back third for Collingwood.
I'm just so intrigued that you're all over this now and would be interested as well. So the Magpies chasing a 9th consecutive win, a chance to move inside the top 4. What a dream season it's been for Craig McRae in his first season at the helm of the Black and White. And the Bombers chasing a 4th win in 5 weeks and a chance to really spoil the party. The Bombers, 2000 premiership side, are in attendance. They'd love something to cheer for. Here we go, round 19 of the AFL. It's Collingwood and Essendon. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
Always an easy sell. Sunday afternoon, big crowd at the MCG. Two arch rivals going at it. Draper outpoints Cox in the middle, swats it down, but a free kick for Collingwood. Advantage applied. Pendlebury hand pass to Adams. His handball. She missed Elliott and Draper just came through to lay a hip and shoulder. Shield collects for the Bombers. Hands it to Caldwell. Kicks to the outer wing. Hetwell's there for the Dons. His kick smothered by side bottom. Trickles away to Langford. Essendon win it back. City wing right on halfway. Well, that's Southern wing, in fact, on the outer side of the ground. Langford's kick smothered. Murphy grabs it. He's grabbed by Langford. And we'll have a ball up between wing and half forward for the Bombers. Essendon to the punt road end in the opening term.
Yeah, Merritt starting forward, Murph, and Nick Dacos starting at half back. So we'll keep an eye on that matchup.
Cox and Draper in the ruck. Draper squeezed the kick towards half forward. Guelphy couldn't gather. Josh Dacos can for the Magpies. Looks out for the Southern wing. Hoskin Elliott has a couple of metres space and he takes the mark on his chest. So Collingwood heading to the city end in this opening term. As Hoskin Elliott comes inboard, looks for options, and Jack Crisp marks on his chest. Interestingly, Nick Dacos, the second highest disposal average player for Collingwood. That was Jack Crisp last season, so immediately averaging 32 disposals in his last 6 weeks. Nick Dacos, kick towards half forward. Cox couldn't take the mark. McGrath's there for the Bombers. Hand pass to Durham. Over the top to Merritt. Linky through the middle of the ground. Hand pass away to Snelling. Wants the hand pass option. Has to retreat back to Merritt. Through traffic. Gave the hand pass to Durham. Now to Shield. Looks up to half forward. Guelphy on his own. He marks right on 50. Langford's the deepest option. He puts it to him in the pocket. It's too wide. And it's out of bounds on the full. Collingwood get out of jail there.
As Murphy takes the free kick, goes short to Nick Dacos in the defensive goal square, swings it to the opposite pocket for side bottom. Kicks out of the defensive arc. Here's Hoskin Elliott, marks at half back for Collingwood. Hits up Jamie Elliott. And takes the mark in the shadows of the light tower. The sun just poking through. A partly cloudy day in Melbourne, 18 degrees. In July, it usually takes us about 4 days to get a maximum of 18 degrees. What a perfect afternoon for footy. Goes long to a pack at half forward. Spills off hands to centre half forward. Pendlebury slides in on top of it. He's coughed it up though. Kelly's got it. He's tackled, dispossessed. Says play on. Laverty for Essendon. Hand pass to Hind. There's a free kick, in fact. It is going.
What's he paying?
Your man, mate. Hold the ball, Matt Stevig.
Holding the ball. Adams on Jake Kelly, so Kelly didn't dispose of it properly.
Just blindside the umpire there.
Good to see him back in, Taylor Adams.
Missed last week with the concussion protocols. Just chips it inside 50. Mark's been taken by Nick Dacos for the dream start. Now Boom youngster misses out to the left. It's the first score of the game. Collingwood one behind. Essendon yet to score. 3 minutes travelled. Quarter number one.
Well, we're both wrong, Murph. Yeah. No one's gone anywhere near Nick Dacos at the moment. When Collingwood have had the ball, he's run around in a paddock of space.
Hind brings the Bombers back into play into the left back pocket. Laverty marks. Guelphy's uncontested, so he can chip it further afield. He has it at left half back for the Dons. Again, options around the members' wing. Peter Wright's in the target. He sends it towards him. Darcy Moore sets himself and Mason Cox in from the side. Can't take the mark. Snelling over the top of the footy. Cox tries to rip it clear. Got it to Crisp. His hand pass back, missed the target. Murphy squeezed the kick towards Elliott. Can't take the chest mark. It spills to Adams. Hand pass to half forward. Picked up by Myercheck. Looks inside 50. Gives the hand pass to Pendlebury. 50 out. Long to the goal mouth. Johnson might let it bounce through. And the experience and class of Scott Pendlebury in game 351 kicks the opening goal of the match through 4 minutes. Collingwood 1-1-7, the Bombers yet to score.
Well, being too smart's usually something that Scott Pendlebury usually associates with him, but just his reaction, just as soon as Collingwood won it, he just ran in a 45-degree angle, ran straight through centre half forward, just ran into Mychek's vision. And no Essendon player was anywhere near him. So it was just a reaction. He's not the quickest bloke, is he, Bawley? But just the smarts, just to know where to run and when to run. That's what gets him that goal.
Agree. Yeah, I think he might have even been passing it too, but who was it in the goal square there? Johnson, did the right thing and shepherded it through. So good start. He started in the centre bounce, the skipper, and it looks like Caldwell will probably go to him. Yeah, if anyone. We'll keep an eye on that. Jake Stringer in the centre bounce early for the Bombers as well.
Back in the middle, Cox wins the hit out down towards Caldwell, who's just ripped off it. Still there to be won. Shield comes up with it and goes on a bit of a run, gets away from Adams, shares it with Merritt. Back to Shield, broadcast wing, can kick Essendon inside 50, not a great kick. And Darcy Moore, suited by it, takes the intercept mark at half back.
Just need to go long there, didn't he? Not try and pinpoint someone on the lead. Give your forwards first opportunity, get the ball in long and deep.
Mark Murphy alongside Luke Ball in the experts' chairs.
It's going to be a good matchup, isn't it? Moore, right. We heard our chat with Darcy Moore before the game. It's going to be a beauty.
Here he is off the back flank, kicks down for Mason Cox and a free for a hole. Draper tucked his jumper, so Big Mason will get it. Members wing just beneath us. Collingwood with the first goal. They lead by 7.
He's starting the ruck and Cameron up forward. Wants to send it towards 50 in the pack. Cameron can't take the mark. Front and centre Merritt. Squeeze the kick into the middle of the MCG. Murphy underneath. Punches it away from Langford. Gets it down to Maynard. Kicks out towards the southern wing. It's gathered by Jeremy Howe. He's got Steele side bottom working hard. He patrols that outer wing so hard. He takes the mark. Wants to work the hand pass over the top to Crisp. Left half forward for the Pies. Inside 50. Looking for Mychek. Little shot. Cameron at the back. He's claimed the mark. Darcy Cameron having started in the forward 50 and Cox starting in the ruck. It's a chance to strike early for the Pies.
Just spreading a bit better at the moment, aren't they, Murph? They're getting out, using the full width of the ground and attacking with a bigger ground, which is allowing space ahead of the ball. And you spoke about penalty smarts. Well, side bottom is very much in that
wings
category
are really,
as well.
really stretching them at the moment.
Had a great year, this bloke, hasn't he? We know that Brodie Grundy was available to play this week. No game in the twos, but this bloke's had a great year.
25 metres out, steps out, snaps on the right, and Cameron has Collingwood second. They get the fast start. 2-1-13 to the Bombers, yet to score. 6 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport with Luke Ball and Mark Murphy.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? You think that Grundy's going to have to spend some time coming back through the reserves, and they've got that luxury now because of the combination of Cox, who started in the centre bounce today, and Darcy Cameron, who's kicked goals every week, really. It's working really well. So when the time comes, it's going to be an interesting decision for match committee, Murph.
Well, they're working really well at the moment because they're both obviously very capable in the ruck, but they go forward and kick goals. So they're not just the tall ruckmen that just stand deep and just get the ball in high and long. They're actually very good on the lead, and Darcy Cameron there worked his opponent underneath the flight of the ball and took an easy mark.
Jack Ginnivan on the ground in the forward 50, and my man Matt Stevick whacks the ball down on the turf in the middle of the ground. One of the best bouncers in the game as Cox just taps it in the direction of Merritt, though, the Bombers. Hand pass to Caldwell, kicks Essendon to half forward. Noble and Langford. Noble wins that as it bounces off the turf, gets a hand pass away to Murphy. Short kick to side bottom. He marks in the sunshine, southern boundary line where we're so used to seeing him. Steele side bottom, measures his drop punt. It's a perfect kick between two Bombers, and Josh Dacos takes the mark for Collingwood. Pies home game in the black shorts with the black and white stripes, and Essendon in their home jumper with the red sash and the white shorts. The kick inside the forward 50. Zirk Thatcher got hands to it, no mark though for Essendon. Pack forms. Cameron trying to jump on top of the footy. The ump says holding the ball, free kick against Essendon. You could have thrown a blanket over around 7 or 8 players, and in the end, Pat Lipinski picks up the yellow Sharon, and he's going to have a set shot from 50 metres out, left half forward.
We need to have another look at this one. It's Brendan Zirk Thatcher that's been pinged. Did he start on his feet? Gee, it's red hot, isn't it? He almost started on his feet. You could argue that Lipinski fell into the number on his back too, so it's pretty hot.
Goalless in his last 5 games. Pat Lipinski moves in. Set shot is across the goal face. A behind. Collingwood 2-2. Essendon yet to score 9 minutes in.
Let's check in at Docklands. Carlton and GWS. Sarah Bryans.
Clinchy Charlie Curnow's third and fourth goals have put Carlton up by a game-high 35 points at the Docklands. 11-9-75 to the Giants. 7-4-46 with 10 to play.
Thanks, Aaron. Redmond brings the Bombers back into play. Quick 1-2 with Merritt and finds Heppel at right half back. Still out of contract beyond this season, Dyson Heppel, as he spreads it wide boundary side, and Ash McGrath has it. Andy McGrath looks at options further afield, drives a long kick. Phillips is there, tries to put body contact on Cox. It gets to the back when Noble's onto it, ran into a dead end. Is that prior opportunity? He was taken high in the end. Collingwood gets some relief on half back, and John Noble slowly gets to his feet to take the free kick. Pies leading by 14 points, 9 minutes gone opening term.
Really got their team defence set up really well and early at the moment, the Pies.
Noble goes short with the kick. Mark's been taken at half-back by Maynard. He looks in the centre square for Cox, who marks. Hand pass to Pendlebury, away to Josh Dacos. Through centre-half forward, kicks to Johnson. Takes it 12 metres out, slightly right of centre. A chance to make it 3 straight to start for the Magpies.
It's an inside kick, isn't it? It just opens up the whole ground and gives you so much more space to attack. The forwards love it because they can get on the move, and it was Johnson, who looks a natural forward. We saw him in his debut last week. Really nice lead, beautiful piece of play, trademark piece of play from the Pies there through the corridor.
Kicked 2 goals last week. He's got a big heavy number 40 on his back as he moves in. His first game at the G as a Magpie. Pokes it through. And hot Pies early. They've got something cooking. Collingwood kicking the first 3 goals. 3-2-20. Essendon yet to score. 11 minutes in.
Yeah, we can just see at the moment, when Essendon get the ball, Collingwood's really quick to set up their team defence and it's forcing Essendon to either go wide and short and then eventually have to go long. And then from that play, Collingwood are getting back really strong in numbers. First of all, they're winning the ball at that next context, but then the next possession of play is really easy because their wingers are forcing, working their way back really hard to force in the outnumber, and then they're just using the ball really well. Their skills have been top-notch so far.
Bombers team defence has really struggled all year, hasn't it? And this is one team that's going to test it. So it hasn't started very well. They're going to have to move into that corridor a lot quicker, the Bombers.
3 goals from 6 inside 50s for the Pies. Trying to charge his way through as Caldwell ran into a dead end. Did get the hand pass to Shield, and now to Guelphy. Feeds the hand pass further still. Tough one for the Bombers, and Nick Martin didn't get a clean hand pass away, but got the benefit of the doubt. Hobbs works it back to Redmond, dodging and weaving through the middle of the ground. Back to Phillips, the stationary rucker kicks wide, and Shield marks it right half forward. Pushes back behind his mark, trying to show a bit more intent with the delivery inside 50. It's a good kick, looking for Guelphy, getting back Quaynor, and he spoils it out of play for a boundary throw-in.
Just in that last patch of the play, boy, they get the ball out the front door, Essendon, and then one too many handballs, rather than just getting it in and giving your forwards 6v6 opportunity, whereas now they go wide. Collingwood get the support back through their midfield and clog it all up and get a boundary throw-in.
Thrown back into play. Phillips in front of Cameron, wins down the tap, but it's straight to Nick Dacos of Collingwood. He gets cheered as he gets disposals, which might be a few times. He kicks towards half-back. Redmond runs onto it. Worth Ginneman out of it. Kicks into the pocket. Peter Wright has a couple to beat. And in the end, it's 2 wide, out of bounds on the full. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Concern for Darcy Moore on the Pies bench. He had his vision tested from an earlier collision. The doctors checked out the vision, then did an eyesight check with him. He's not going down into the rooms for a concussion test, so he appears to be okay.
Thanks, Jess. There's Nick Dacos, superb kick away to Ginnivan. He's had a haircut, so he's still peroxide blonde, but he's got the short back and sides as he kicks down the line, and it's punched out of play by Myercheck. Boundary throwing on the southern wing. We saw Mason Redmond bally moments ago. Can he win the Crichton medal as Essendon's been at?
Yeah, I think he'd be leading it. Yeah, I think he absolutely can, and should be really in the discussion for that top four, the 40s, All-Australian 40 squad, I think, off that half-back flank. He's had a super year.
Yes, so Collingwood by 20. Essendon haven't scored from the boundary throw.
Throw that in again, please. Yep, did look a bit short.
A little shallow, so we'll do it all again.
Geez, Darcy Moore, it's the one player that the Pies really can't afford to lose, that we saw 3 or 4 weeks ago when he was out against North Melbourne. Nick Larkey had a big day out, Peter Wright, so it just forces Jeremy Howe across to right. Murphy has to come across, so the Pies will be wanting him back out there very soon. Josh Carmichael on the exercise bike, just sticking the legs over from the boundary throw-in. There's an immediate free kick, and it's going Phillips' way. A Bronx cheer from the Essendon fans, so one of your former teammates, Murph, Andrew Phillips with it on that southern wing.
I didn't moz Darcy Moore, did I? Chatting to him before the game.
Yeah.
Kicks towards half forward right there. Pulls it down to Hobbs. Nowhere to go as Josh Dacos laid the tackle, but it was in the back. And the Bombers get a little bit of luck going their way. The Pies had the first 5 free kicks of the match. Essendon fans will be happy to finally get one their way. Through the youngster in Ben Hobbs, having a great first season. He looks inside 50. No one really there in terms of tall target. Peter Wright got there late and crashed into Maynard. Gave away the free kick. Braden Maynard will take it in the left back pocket for Collingwood.
Speaking of great years, he's having another superb year, Maynard. Really controlling things down back and having the odd burst in the middle as well.
Collingwood by 20 points. Maynard up the southern wing. Ridley too strong in the air. He works Johnson underneath and takes the mark. Wants to go short to Laverde, not 15. Hand pass to Hobbs and now to Nick Martin. Tackle by McCreary. Ball spills clear. Myercheck through traffic to Lipinski. Elliott got it out. Here goes Chris. Footy under the arm. Hand pass inboard to Sidebottom. They're on the break. He gets to 50. Takes the bounce. Hand passes over the top to Taylor Adams. He steadies. Gives it back to Lipinski. Top of the goal square. Side steps and finishes. Ash Johnson was the man who put the finishing touches on. They almost made one hand pass too many and a mess of it, the Pies. The beautiful transition through the middle of the ground by hand. And really, Sidebottom could have done it himself or given it off. And Ash Johnson with his second goal. And the Pies lead by 26 points, 4-2-26 to Essendon. Yet to score, 15 minutes gone.
Some great counter-attack football, but sort of made mention of it in the last centre square bounce by Essendon. They're just over handballing at the moment. I think rather than trying to find that extra handball, the Collingwood pressure is just so hot at the moment. That's what's really getting their game going. It's just pressure and really forcing the error, and Essendon almost playing into their hands, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Get it forward. Give Wright. Give Phillips is down there too. Give them a chance one-on-one. You just see how aggressive the Maynard kick even inboard, wasn't it? So there's the corridor is open for business today, Corb.
Kick 2 last week on debut. He's got 2 in the opening quarter. Ash Johnson, the Pies with a hot start. Essendon going forward here though. Merritt drives it to centre half forward. Right in a tangle with Darcy Moore. Good to see him back out there. Ball slips through to Murphy. Jams it on the boot to half back. Hoskin Elliott tracking it. Lets it pitch and it bounces out of play. So a throw in a high half forward for the Bombers.
Centre bounce clearance is the only thing concerning the Pies at the moment. It's 4-1 and they have struggled in that stat all year. They're having to do a lot of their attack from the back half.
Thrown back in, Draper wins down the tap for the Bombers against Cameron. It spills back to him, trying to get it to Merritt, who slapped it on, but only as far as Hoskin Elliott. Hand pass to Josh Dacos, takes a bounce as he runs the members wing. Looks up towards half forward. Elliott offers a lead, he goes more direct than that, towards Myercheck. Redmond in from the side, didn't take the mark. Elliott onto it, break the tackle. Hand pass to McCreary, hand pass to Myercheck, back to McCreary in the right forward pocket. Laverde pushes him off it and sees it out of play. In the right forward pocket for the Pies under the Ponsford stand. Collingwood leading by 26 points.
Probably other than the centre bounces at the moment, their balance is much better around the contest, and they're just backing in their player, the Pies are at the moment, to go win the ball and then having that good balance on the outside to use the hands.
Pies by 26. Essendon haven't scored. Draper palms it down to Martin. Bangs it out a defensive 50 for Essendon. Phillips forced to spoil on the wing. Spills down to Hobbs. Hand pass to Snelling. Slick hands back to Hobbs. To Shield. They work it out of traffic. Hand pass to Nick Martin. Doesn't want to go left side. He's in trouble. Takes on the tackler. Caught holding the ball. Nick Dacos got him. And the 2 first-year players, Dacos. And he's put all the rest of them in the shade and he wins a one-on-one there. He goes short to Pendlebury. And Collingwood trap it in their front half. 4-2-26. Essendon yet to score, 18 minutes in.
Pendlebury with just his second goal of the season early in this match. Long towards Mason Cox. Zerk Thatcher spoils it down. Myercheck tries to soccer it forward. It's the right-hand side of the behind post and out of play for a boundary throw-in.
Just love the Pies' confidence to hit that long kick central, isn't it? We're probably not used to seeing it as much. Teams tend to go a bit more conservative with that long down the line kick, just in case there's a turnover. But Pies got the confidence to go corridor.
Collingwood deep in attack. Cox won it down, but straight to Laverde. Then smothered his kick, Laverde. It spills out to Elliott on 50. Hand pass to Josh Dacos, dragged off it by Willis Snelling and a boundary throw-in.
It's strange when you think about it, because most defenders, if the ball's going wide, would love it in that spot, whereas if you're prepared to back your leg in and go more corridor, I reckon the defenders are much more itchy and a bit more nervous when that happens.
Mark Murphy alongside Luke Ball. Grandstand AFL from the boundary throw in. Darcy Cameron first hands to it. Draper tries to soccer it forward. Ricochets to Noble. He just knocks it to Adams. Between wing and half forward. Kicks Collingwood back inside 50. Hind can't take the mark. A loose footy forward 50 for Collingwood. But Durham runs onto it and mops it up for Essendon. Kicks to a one-on-one. The kick favoured Murphy. And he takes the intercept mark for Collingwood. So again, they keep it in the front half, the Pies. Essendon yet to score. Collingwood by 26. He goes short, out wide of the mark taken by Trent Bianco. Still between wing and half forward. Hand pass to the boundary line for Nick Dacos, trying to hit up Elliott. Unsuccessful. Essendon with the numbers. Hind gives it to Merritt.
He kicks up towards the wing. Courageously Jones back with the flight. Took the mark and opened up in front of him. Hand pass to Shield, who can accelerate. 2 bounces. Now a third as he runs the southern side. Not a lot inside 50. Chips it inboard and finds Langford. He's got Peter Wright pushing forward. He's got Phillips at the top of the goal square. Langford loads up, sends it towards Phillips. Moore's back in there. He spoils it down. Works well with Howe. Hand pass to Noble. He just steps it through for a minor score. And the Bombers are finally on the board through a rush behind. They're one behind the Collingwood 4-2, 26.
Geez, they got back hard, didn't they? Twice, Noble, Moore and Howe on the transition there. Shield looked up and there was no one to kick to. In the end, he made the right decision, but great team defence from the Pies then.
Noble on the kick out finds McCreary, who goes long down the wing. Cameron came in a little recklessly. No free kick, taking down Redmond. Pack forms behind the pair. Ball comes out the back door. Hobbs grabs it. He's tackled immediately. Ball up on the wing. These two teams often meet twice in the same season. You have to go way back to 2016, the last time they split the two encounters. So more often than not, the team that wins on Anzac Day goes on to win the late season meeting.
Draper one down the tap, it's straight to Taylor Adams. The Collingwood kicks inside 50. Cox gathered, broke the tackle. Hand pass to Ginnivan. He surely was taken high by Redmond. No whistle.
That's a high tackle. I mean, come on. Yeah. Come on, Matty.
Corby's man, middle.
If he's not going to get one there, he's not going to get one
Matt
there.
Stevie.
He'll never get one.
Right on point, Matt Stevie.
That is exactly what's wrong with it.
That is a shocking non-decision.
Not sure Jack Ginnivan dropped the knees. It's certainly over the shoulder. The Bombers clear from the stoppage through Merritt, but only as far as Pendlebury. Kicks inside 50. Myercheck can't take the mark. Outnumbered. Durham got it to Hind. Careful with his delivery. And finds Ridley, who can work it to Nick Martin. I think you know what the Collingwood fans think, Jess Webster.
I was just about to say that. You can hear it in the speakers. The Pies fans were out of their seats, not happy with that call against Ginnivan.
The AFL have got exactly what they wanted with that rule. There's the long kick from Merritt across the half-back line to Durham, who takes the mark. He goes short, away to Zirk Thatcher. And now he's just a sitting duck. Jack Ginnivan, you can tackle him however you like. As Zirk Thatcher goes short to Durham, who takes the mark on the southern wing. Pies by 25 points, time on in the opening term. As Durham hand pass away to Hind, he chips it further afield and Snelling takes the mark for Essendon. The very first quarter, first real involvement in the game for Jack Ginnivan. Of course, he's tackled in such a manner. As Snelling goes to Ridley, kicks inside the forward 50. Cameron, someone clattered into his back and a free kick. There's a wrestle on too between Murphy and Peter Wright, who's given away a second free kick in the forward 50 for Essendon. And Darcy Cameron takes the free in the back half for Collingwood.
Collingwood by 25 as Cameron sends it up to flying Mason Cox. He takes the mark on the southern wing and has it at left half back. For a lot of this quarter, the Bombers' kicking efficiency has been under 50%. They've worked it up to 60. But all 4 of Collingwood's goals have come from Bomber turnovers. Quaynor now on the wing. Kicks towards Myercheck in a wrestle. It's spoiled down by Ridley. Now Pendlebury. And Elliott lay the tackle to ensure there's nowhere to go. As on the very bottom of the pack is Jai Caldwell.
Just watching the replay again, unbelievable.
Oh, okay.
Collingwood by 25. Mason Cox palms it down. Durham's locked up immediately by Elliott.
So the umpires are not going to have the benefit of 2 or 3 replays like we do. So
No, that's just
high.
a bad miss, that one. Yeah.
Should have been a free kick, centre half forward for Jack Ginnivan. And he's now the tackler on Draper, who just sockers it forward. Comes the way of the Bombers. Merritt. He sends a hand pass out wide, finds its way to Peter Wright. He links up back with Merritt under pressure, kicks it out on the full. Got a little nudge by Lipinski trying to dispose of the footy, so free kick for Collingwood. They've been all over the Bombers. The Pies 4-2, Essendon 1 behind, and their only score was a rush behind. Collingwood by 25.
Yeah, the forced error there. He started well though, Jack Merritt. He's had 12 possessions, 2 clearances. Shields had 9 as well, so they get plenty of the footy.
Darcy Moore kicks around the southern wing. Draper had hands to it, couldn't claim the mark. Hines hand pass to Laverty for the Bombers, and now Merritt looks up towards half forward. Here's Darcy again. Another uncontested mark as he takes an intercept possession across half back. Pies by 25 points. They've got their back line well set at the moment. Moore gestures for someone to lead into space, puts it towards Josh Dacos. Importantly, Durham got a hand to it. Dacos hand passes it around the boundary line. Josh keeps it alive through a gap where there wasn't one. The magician at work. He runs the boundary. Can he finish it like his old man would? Steps out to the right. Yes, he can. The Macedonia Marvel will be cheering in the stands watching that one. As Josh Dacos says, don't forget about me.
That's right, he does.
Wow.
The first son of the Collingwood legend. Just as Nick had taken the headlines last week with his 40 disposals and 3 goals. And says, righto, Sam Draper, here's a goal of the year contender as well.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth there, Clinchy, because Sammy Draper's kicked an absolute ripper last week, and no doubt one of the goals of the year, but
That's
I
up
reckon
there.
Josh
That's up there.
has almost beat it there. So he's handballed one along the boundary, beat a couple of blokes, taken, would have been 3 bounces, 3 or 4 bounces, and he would have run probably a 60 or 70 metre effort there to put himself into the goals and to snap one there in the pocket. Just an unbelievable goal. And
His dad's out of his seat.
Yeah, you can see his old man up and about.
The old man would have dribbled it through. He stepped out and snapped on the right, but it was
Or
equally
kicked
as
the left foot
impressive.
Big roar as his old man shown on the big screen, and Nick and Josh sit next to one another on the interchange after the goal. Out of the middle, Collingwood are off and running. Pendlebury gives it to Quaynor. 2 bounces through centre half forward. He shoots goalward. He misses everything. Out on the full. Hot Pies in this opening term. 5-2 to 1 behind. All over Essendon, playing for a spot in the top 4 this afternoon. Long kick to Big Mason. Up on the shoulders of Andrew Phillips. And Cox falls down a screamer. Gee, the tallest ever Magpie. He went early and got it on the way down to earth. Collingwood by 31. Kicks inside the forward 50. Durham doesn't take possession, knocks it away to the pocket. Heppel running out of room with Ginnivan, and they both see it out of play. Boundary throw in forward pocket for the Magpies. Full time at Docklands, Aaron Bryans.
Corby Carlton with their 12th win of the season, a 36-point victory over the Giants.
Thanks, Aaron. Collingwood deep in attack as it's tossed back into play. Cox sets himself in front of Phillips, knocks it down. Ginnivan trying to get underneath, can't win it. Durham with a quick hand pass. Caldwell out of defence towards right. Howe's well positioned in front. Right made the contest, got it down to Stringer. Couldn't get a hand onto it. Now becomes the tackler on Howe. Got it to Noble. Through traffic. Kicks to McCreary, who marks it right half forward. I think this is probably beyond him. He'd have to kick every bit of 55, but he's going back behind his mark late in the opening quarter.
Powerful player. He's having a terrific year too. Been a real find. Is that forward half pressure? Doesn't need a lot of the footy to have an impact on the game. He's still testing though.
He's shown he is a man for big moments though. Veers out to the right. He doesn't go for it. Puts it towards the teeth of goal. Cox is down. In the pack, Johnson. He's got it. Goodness me, a chance to kick his 3rd in this opening quarter. They might have found a new full forward. All eyes are on Mason Cox, and he slipped over. And there was Ash Johnson, who just read it best.
He almost hurdled Mason Cox as well
Yeah,
on
he
his
did.
way to taking that grab.
Geez, that'll disappoint Ben Rutten though, and the coaching staff. Andrew Phillips, it was a 2-on-1 really. Had to get a fist into that, bring it to ground. Still, fantastic contested mark from the second gamer.
Directly in front, 25 metres out. Johnson for his 3rd. Everything to like about Collingwood at the moment. 6 goals to none in this opening term. 6-2-38 to the Bombers, 1 behind. 28 minutes gone, opening term. They're doing their work early, the Pies, today.
Well, it's had everything this first quarter. We've had probably the goal of the year almost from Josh Dacos. Mason Cox, a big hanger. A Jack Ginnivan non-free kick. And Essendon haven't got a goal. So the Collingwood Football Club are just marching on their way to 9 straight victories at the moment.
just more even at the moment. When you look at, regardless of looking at the stat sheet, I mean, Junkie Stringer hasn't touched the footy yet. He's got to get going. Merritt, we said, has had 13, Shield 8, but no one really standing out from the Pies. They're just nice and even. Noble has been terrific. Had a couple of big plays across half-back. Become such a consistent player as well. Quaynor's been involved. Even performance at the moment.
Pies with the first 6 of the game. Cox wins it down. Caldwell shrugs a tackle. Kicks to centre half forward. Quaynor just knocks it away to Bianco. He went without it. Snelling takes on 2 of them. Got a hand pass away, but Noble grabs it. Stringer's got him. Heavy tackle taken to ground. And the ball up centre half forward for the Dons.
Just the centre bounce, really. It's the only time that the Bombers are looking dangerous at the moment.
They haven't kicked a goal, Essendon. Just one score. It was a rush behind as Crisp tries to clear the area. McCreary knocks it down, but straight to Caldwell. Hand pass to Hetwell. He gives it to McGrath in the centre square. Kicks Essendon deep inside 50. Wright got hands to it. No mark. Falls to Quaynor. And that'll do us. A black and white shutout in the opening term. Collingwood 6-2-38. Essendon 1 behind. And it was rushed through. Not a single goal in the term for Essendon. And Collingwood playing for a spot in the top 4 this afternoon with a dream start. Ash Johnson, who's played 5 quarters of footy, he's got as many goals. He's kicked 3 in that opening term. He became Collingwood's 6th debutant of the season last week and the 1,177 Magpie of all time. 1 each to Darcy Cameron, Scott Pendlebury and to Josh Dacos, which is a contender for goal of the year. 6 goals to Zip Clinchy. Pies by 37 at quarter time.
And Collingwood, who average around sort of 55 inside 50s per game, all of a sudden have had 22 in the opening term, and they're in comfortable control here. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Lend us your ears and experience a world of audio content with ABC Listen.
A world of sound.
Like the new pop culture podcast, Schmeitgeist, decoding the biggest trends this year.
I saw a trend happening on TikTok, basically, I've never seen before.
Trash reality TV. It is my favorite thing in the world.
And for the kids, Dynadome.
T-Rex is ahead. Check out those lunges.
The ABC Listen app.
Lend me your ears.
Download it now from your app store. The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Murphy squeezes the kick towards Elliott, can't take the chest mark. It spills to Adams, hand pass to half forward, picked up by Myercheck, looks inside 50, gives the hand pass to Pendlebury, 50 out, long to the goal mouth. Johnson might let it bounce through.
Mark's been taken and half back by Maynard. He looks in the centre square for Cox, who marks. Hand pass to Pendlebury, away to Josh Dacos. Through centre half forward, kicks to Johnson. As he moves in, his first game at the G as a Magpie. Pokes it through.
Draper one down the tap and straight to Taylor Adams. The Collingwood kicks inside 50. Cox gathered, broke the tackle. Hand pass to Kinnaman. He surely was taken high by Redmond. No whistle.
That's a high tackle. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Matty.
More gestures for someone to lead into space. Puts it towards Josh Dacos. Importantly, Durham got a hand to it. Dacos hand passes it around the boundary line. Josh keeps it alive. Through a gap where there wasn't one. The magician at work. He runs the boundary. Can he finish it like his old man would? Steps out of the right. Yes, he can.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Highlights galore if you're a fan of the black and white. The Bombers yet to show to the party. It's Collingwood 6-2-38. So the Bombers 1 behind in the opening quarter of Sunday afternoon footy, round 19, between the Magpies and the Bombers. Earlier today at Docklands, it was a chance for the Blues to consolidate their spot inside the top 8 against the Giants. For all the details, Aaron Bryans.
Clinchy Carlton with a 36-point victory over the Giants off the back of an 8-3 second half. They led by 10 at quarter time, 3 at the half, 17 at three-quarter time, and finished winners 13-12-90 to 8-6-54. Charlie Curnow had 4 goals, Toby Green 3, Patrick Cripps led the way with 34 touches. Sam Walsh had an ugly-looking ankle injury in the third, but he came back to play out the game as well. Carlton now 3 games clear of 9th, and depending on how St Kilda goes this afternoon. Speaking of that game, the final teams are in, no late changes, Connor West and Ben Long, the subs for the Eagles and the Saints.
Thanks, Aaron. We look forward to keeping across that, us across that throughout the afternoon. Matt Klitsch and Corbin Minimas calling the action. Jess Webster down the boundary. The thoughts of our experts, Mark Murphy and Luke Ball on ABC Sport.
Well, I mean, it's been a domination, really, Murph. Although there is one stat that jumps out at you when you look at and we'll start on the stat sheet. Clearances, and we have called it throughout, starting in the centre, but even around the ground. The Bombers are 13-6 in clearances. So you'd think that should translate to an even amount of ground position. The Pies have had 18 to 11 inside 50s. And look, the Pies, to me, that talks to the Pies being able to transition the footy. And yes, they've taken a few risks with their ball use, but they've been able to transition their footy from D50 to front 50 and score way too easily. And that's been the Bombers' Achilles heel all year. That's let them down all year. Their ability to defend the ground, to defend the corridor, and in particular defend sides transitioning from one end to the other has been really terrible all year, and that's been the case again today. We thought that they'd started to right the ship over the last month. We just haven't seen that at all yet, and the Pies have just scored way too easily and made them pay. And there's been some brilliant individual efforts, we know that from Collingwood's point of view, but what they've done is just been able to win the ball back across half back, too easily at times. And then, as I said, march it from one end to the other. So it's been pretty clinical from the Pies' point of view, apart from that centre bounce and clearance work, which they'll need to tidy up a bit because even beyond today, it's not sustainable to continue to have to rely on your back six to win the footy and to attack from the back half.
Well, really, it's the Essendon of the first half of the season, really, that we've been used to seeing. It's probably the overuse from stoppages. So there's probably been 3 or 4 occasions out of the centre square where you think, right, we'll get a handball and then shoulders out. Let's give it to our forwards in a better position rather than going for 1, 2, even sometimes 3 more handballs. That's just allowing the Collingwood midfielders to get back and support, the Collingwood wingers to get back and support. It allows Howe and more just to read the football on the way in rather than having to be accountable against their direct opponent. So it's just giving them time to set up and do things the way in which they want to do it.
7 AFL reporting that Essendon didn't have a single disposal in their forward 50 for the entire quarter.
I was about to say, they're 11 inside 50s, but no deep ones. It was there weren't too many inside 20s, I don't think, which they've all been 40 to 50, and it's just allowed, as you said, that Collingwood intercept game in play.
Collingwood by 37 points. Draper wins down the tap to Stringer. Hand pass to Caldwell. Kicks inside 50. Right was held. So immediately a response. And Darcy Moore giving away the free kick there. In a tangle of strength, he had the arms around the chest of Wright, and the umpire spotted that in the marking contest.
What's amazing, what happens when you get the ball in quick and deep to one-on-ones and getting it to your tall teammate, 2-metre Peter, it doesn't allow Howe to come off and support his teammate. 42 goals this season. Boy, do they need one now. Wright comes in, leans back onto it, and the Bombers finally have their first goal of the match. Inside a minute, inside the second term. And finally, they have something to try and build on. 1-1-7 the Bombers to Collingwood 6-2-38. It took a centre clearance and a good contested mark, but they're into the ball game.
Well, it took Jake Stringer's first possession for the game too, so really quiet quarter. But yeah, Stringer, Shield, Caldwell, really strong with Draper, really strong. Centre bounce brigade, and that's a bit of a concern for the Pies. Again, they can't keep relying on turning the ball over in their back half. They need to get things even up around the middle here. So you look down, Pendlebury, Crisp, Elliott go into the centre, some real experience. They need to get to work in there because that was far too easy. But you're right, the deep entry, as good as Darcy Moore is, reaches for the jumper, and Peter Wright gets on the scoreboard. So perfect start to this second quarter for the Bombers.
Stringer at the centre bounce here. After the Essendon kicked the first of the second term. Draper straight down to Shield. Hand pass to Stringer. Hand pass over his shoulders. A turnover. Pendlebury on his knees. Gives it to Cox. He gets the centre break. Kicks down to half forward for Collingwood. Cameron running back after it. Side bottom up to meet it. Cameron grabs it. He's tackled by Laverty. The ball up 40 metres out from the Pies goal. Most of the ground in the shadows. And Collingwood to the punt road end in this second term after putting 6 past the Bombers in the first. The restart, Cameron swats it down. There's a free kick. It's Essendon's way. Non-controlling umpire waves. Advantage applied. Durham hand pass away to Shield. He gives it to Merritt. Miss kicks it a high up and under bomb down the line, and Guelphy good enough to mark it in front of the Essendon interchange. Collingwood by 31.
Guelphy looks at options further afield. He's got Wright long down the line. Looks more inboard than that towards Jones, and Langford. Cox sets himself. Wright spoils it down. Durham front and centre. Nowhere to go as he's locked up. And the umpire will ball it up at half forward for the Bombers. Nick Dacos and Pendlebury combining to lay the tackle on Durham. Collingwood by 31 points. Thrown up. Draper takes it out of the ruck. Couldn't get a clean disposal away. Crisp for Collingwood. Kicks around the members' side. Cameron let it bounce. Tries to get back onto it. Did so against Laverty. Kicks up to Elliott on the bounce. Gathers 60 from home. Dodges. Weaves back on the left. The Wormburner inside 50. Redmond in front of Sidebottom. Dragged down. He was held. And the Bombers will get one out of defence.
Did that well. Redmond just didn't take possession of the football. Knew he was under heat from Sidebottom and let him follow through on the tackle.
Pies by 31 points. As Mason Redmond got the top votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year last week. And a win over the Suns. He kicks out to half-back to Heppel. He goes down the line to Jones, who takes a strong mark over the top of Howe. And he's got it at the half-back, or just on the defensive side of the wing for Essendon. Pies by 31. 3.5 minutes played in this term as Jones is kicked down to half forward. A juggled mark to Murphy, not paid, as we welcome our audience around the rest of the country with us here at the MCG. Collingwood by 31 points against Essendon. They've kicked the first 6 of the game. They lead at 6-2 to Essendon 1-1. Pies by 31 early in the second.
Nick Dacos tried to run the gauntlet. He turned it over. Jones' hand pass to Merritt. He's taken high by Scott Pendlebury. And a free kick the Bombers' way. Pendlebury over the footy and Merritt not all that happy about that. Tries to yank him off it. Matt Clinch, Corbin Middlemass, Jess Webster, Luke Paul and Mark Murphy with you for Sunday afternoon footy. Merritt looks towards half forward, spots Jones. Howe tried to get there late, just got hands to it at the last moment. It spills out to Shield, snaps on the left. He's pretty good in this position. He just drags it left. And a minor score. So after Collingwood kicked the first 6 goals of the match, the Bombers have kicked 1 to start this second term. They're 1-2-8 to Collingwood 6-2-38.
Darcy Moore goes straight down the pipe on the kick out to Elliott, who marks at centre half back. No one stands the mark, so off he trots. Now has a bounce, Jamie Elliott, still in the back half. Kicks beyond the wing, trying to find Hoskin Elliott. It's too far out in front of him, and a throw-in between wing and half forward for the Magpies in that opening quarter. 3 goals for Ash Johnson, the 24-year-old out of Halls Creek, in just his second game. And Josh Dacos kicked 1, which is a goal of the year nomination, just bouncing the ball to himself along the boundary line, hooked it back through, shades of his old man in the forward pocket at the City end.
Thrown in, Draper down to Shield, hand pass to Heppel around the southern wing. Stringer picks it up on the bounce, sold the candy, kicks for right. He marks between wing and half forward. He's got Langford deep and Jones trying to present as an option. He now veers out to the right, Peter Wright, and just sends it long and strong inside 50. Where are the flyers? Jones in from the side. Reaches up and claims it at its highest point. And John Noble just didn't have the height to compete.
Well, it wasn't his opponent. I don't know what Braden Maynard was doing there. He just got lost. You watch here, Maynard got dragged up to the footy and Jones doubled back really nicely and in the end took an uncontested mark. So just been a bit looser this quarter, the Pies. Bombers have certainly lifted, obviously, and their ball use has been a little bit better, been a bit patient and really honouring the player forward of the ball that the Pies defenders dropped off.
An exciting look forward to the future through Harry Jones as he comes in and steers through his first of the afternoon and the Bombers' second. And they string a couple on the trot to start this second quarter. 6 minutes gone. The Bombers 2-2-14 to Collingwood 6-2-38. On Grandstand AFL, you're with Mark Murphy and Luke Ball.
I think you made mention of it then, Bally, but I think they've been much more patient when the ball's been around the ground, the Bombers. I think out of the centre square, we've seen them go in deeper and quicker, which is what you need to do when you've got the 6v6 opportunity up forward. But around the ground, it has been a noticeable difference, hasn't it? They haven't just gone and kicked it long and just hoped for the best. They've actually taken their time, taken a bit of sting, let their forwards get to work a little bit. And that's what they were able to do there, is just let their forwards run back towards goal and then find some space and put it in the young man's direction. And Harrison Jones did the rest and basically took an uncontested mark.
Challenge for the Pies. They've started well. We know they haven't played 4 quarters of footy for a while, though. So if you're the Bombers, you're confident that if you can chip away at them here, you can get things back on your terms.
Pies by 24. Secondary ball up in the middle. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Interesting observer sitting on the umpire's bench. AFL Chief Executive Gil McLachlan has emerged from the race, sitting on the bench, flanked by a couple of security guards as well.
Cox wins it down. Heppel, hand pass away to Ridley. Kicks down the wing. Nick Dacos in the box seat. Can't take the mark. Brother Josh is there. Tackled without it by Durham. No free kick, no whistle. Durham wins it. Essendon away. Hand pass to Shield. Feeds it forward to Nick Martin. Up against the boundary line.
Nice.
Clever kick. Back inboard to Snelling, who takes the mark. And Snelling about 15 metres in from the boundary line. He'll have a kick right forward pocket for the Dons.
That was well done by Essendon. They worked hard from the centre square bounce end and forced the outnumber, and Dylan Shield was probably the main one who got across to support and got a couple of possessions, and just a smart little ball use going inside, lowering the eyes rather than just having a ping from 45, 50 out in the boundary.
If you brought a GA ticket, you might want to walk down to the city end. As Will Snelling has a set shot that doesn't have to trip, kicks it across the face, and Peter Wright marks it in front of the behind post in the opposite pocket.
Good pass.
It's all falling Essendon's way. That'll count as a score assist. The first 8 goals of the game have come to the city end. You can make it 9. As Peter Wright hooks it through. And after Collingwood kicked the first 6, the Dons have got 3 on the bounce. Game right back on. Collingwood's lead cut to 18 points, 9 minutes into the second term. The Magpies 6-2, Essendon 3-2. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Collingwood coach Craig McRae was not happy about that mark. Ripped off the headset on the bench. Said a few nouns and verbs. If my lip reading skills are up to scratch, certainly wasn't happy, and saying a few words to his players on the bench about how that happened.
Right, just a work rate thing at the moment. You're right, that was sloppy defence, just switching off at the wrong time, assuming that ball was going to carry from Will Snelling. Probably fair enough too, he's only 30 metres out, but work rate around the ball. Dylan Shield he's had 6 possessions for the quarter. He's leading them a merry dance through the middle at the moment, the Pies. This midfield group needs to respond.
29 disposals in this second quarter for the Bombers. Collingwood, which is just 10. And the Bombers have put on 3 goals forward. Here's Stringer with a clearance out of the middle of the ground. Chaos ball inside 50. Cleared Murphy. Wright couldn't take it. Still a chance. Langford tackle by Noble. It spills out. Moore's cannon into. And the footy stuck underneath him. Now ball it up 30 metres out from the Bombers' goal to City end, which has been all the scoring which has taken place so far in this match. Tossed in the air. Phillips to do the ruck work against Cameron. Cameron knocks it down to Adams. Through traffic for Collingwood. Turn it over though. Merritt kicks towards goal. Wright could have been held. He tries to whack it down, but Murphy rushes it through. He was inside the goal square, defensive goal square, so was allowed to do that. Collingwood by 17.
In the other 2 games, Carlton have beaten GWS by 36. We've got West Coast and St Kilda coming up. You'll get the later stages of that here on ABC Radio. We'll have updates before then. The Saints trying to go equal 8th. As their long exiting kick out from Moore, flying for it, Phillips. No mark, pack forms behind him as Cameron's locked up. And a ball up 70 metres out from the Essendon goal. All 9 goals to the city end as Phillips wins the tap. Down to Adams though of the Magpies, kicks to the wing. And McCreery takes the mark. He wants to go. He's got numbers and runners alongside him. Gives it to Nick Dacos. Hand pass to Adams. Hand pass away to Chris. He missed Noble by hand. Noble tries to mop it up. Ugly hand pass trying to get it to Quain, or Noble goes back in, collects. Heppel got him holding the ball. Free kick for the Essendon captain. Back edge to the centre square. It's Collingwood by 17 points, but the Bombers have kicked the last 3.
Yeah, they've lifted. Too cute there for the Pies. Little underground handball. They had it. They were out. As you said, Murph, quarter time. Shoulders facing the goal. Should have been a long, deep ball inside 50. In the end, they try and invent something and invite some Bombers pressure, and just starting to get a bit of a sniff of it here, the Dons.
Dyson Heppel on the back edges of the square. Goes short to Merritt and now to Andy McGrath. On the southern wing, waits for Leeds to present, and Snelling does that. He spots him up between wing and half forward. Long kick inside 50. Cameron sets himself underneath. Phillips back with the flight. Knocked it down to the front. Chris for Collingwood runs onto it. Looks up to the southern wing. The kick is off the outside of the boot. And he puts it out of bounds on the full. Collingwood by 17 points, but the Bombers are 3 goals to none through 12 minutes of this second quarter.
No late change coming in. Josh Carmichael and Braden Ham, the 2 subs. Well, that kick's not 15 as Ridley just pokes it short and away to Jake Kelly, and the umpire said play on, and he's helped over the boundary line. So now we've got a neutral ball and a throw in.
Had so many of your messages on 0437 774 774. We'll save the Jack Ginnivan ones to half time because there's a bit to work through there. Bit surprising kill on the umpire's bench though.
It probably is.
Just a little unusual for the CEO to be on the
I'll be really surprised.
on the shop floor.
I'll be really surprised if he puts the yellow on and heads out.
Bit of damage control maybe down there with 2 security guards flanking him.
We've seen obviously Steve Hocking and sort of Brad Scott in the past in that sort of footy ops role, but very unusual for the chief executive. And the ball up here, there's another free kick, another high tackle, a free kick for Essendon. They want to take the advantage. It won't be paid. And a free kick will come all the way back to young Ben Hobbs.
I'll tell you who is our man. Colby will be watching to see if he says anything to Matt Stevick as he walks past. Just pay it, Matt.
Hobbs, the teenager, the youngest man on the ground, goes out wide to Heppel. He kicks to the hot spot. Phillips, standing in front of the pack, takes the mark. He'll kick from 20 out, dead in front.
Just too big, really. He's what's his stand at, big Andrew Phillips? He's always been a great tap ruckman. I actually loved playing with him with his time at Carlton because he usually put it on a platter, and there's something that I really enjoyed about him too. Going deep down forward, does take a good grab and can kick the ball a long way, but he only needs to kick it 20 metres out directly in front here.
He's 3 straight for the year. He can't miss. Straight in front. The Bombers have 4 in a row. Collingwood's lead, which was once 37, has been whittled away down to 11 points. 14 played second term. Essendon 4-3, Collingwood 6-2. And all 10 goals, Bally, have come to the city end of the ground.
They have, yeah. I'm not sure what are the flags showing? There's much going on out there, Cord, but I think it's a work rate thing. Again, the Bombers, and look, they might have got a bit of a sting at quarter time, but on the flip side, the Pies have just looked a bit off this quarter. They're slow to react. Even then, that was a contested mark and just outpointed him, Phillips, Cameron it was. But the numbers tell the tale, really. Contested possessions, Murph, 21-9. That's a hiding. First 10 minutes of this quarter.
And when you've got momentum,
7-3.
And when you've got momentum, you need to capitalise and make the most of it, and that's what they're certainly doing at the moment. The Bombers have kicked 4 straight away out of the blocks in the second quarter. They need to keep on going on with it.
To answer your question, Murph, he's one of the 6 players who's over 200 centimetres. Andrew Phillips, here's Draper, another on cue, gets the clearance, not as spectacular as last week. Kicks towards half forward, Snelling scraps forward, trying to get away from side bottom. Taylor Adams had it, tackled, dispossessed. Now side bottom over the footy as Snelling and Heppel lock him up. 60 metres out from the Bombers' goal.
Well, all the talk about Brodie Grundy this week, we're having a good look today as to why he might be just so important when he comes back eventually.
Draper just slaps it down towards Hobbs, can't gather. Adams' hand pass picked off by Heppel of the Bombers, got it to Shield, back to Heppel, back to Andy McGrath, he wants to come in more to Hobbs, not 15, has to sidestep, Ginnivan, he got him, holding the footy. And Jack gets one back the other way as he has it at right half back. Looks around the southern wing, puts it out in front of Johnson on the lead. 3 goals in the opening term. He tries to keep it alive by tapping it to side bottom. Sliding in Ridley, wins it for the Bombers, works it to Shield. Southern wing, hand pass over the top to Snelling at half forward. Feeds it back to Heppel. His kick is partially smothered. Good work by Kinnaman. It spills to Howe. He gathers inside the defensive 50 for Collingwood. Hand pass to Noble, to Maynard, and now to Quain all long out of defence.
Draper's in the holdo for Essendon and takes the intercept mark on the wing. Collingwood by 11 points. They did lead by 37 at quarter time. Essendon the only 4 goals of the quarter. And he comes inboard to Laverty. Laverty on the switch. Out to Zirk Thatcher. Marks Members wing. Chips a ball to half forward. Martin fell over. Still gathers. Gives it to Hind. Comes free in the McCreary tackle. Now it's held in. And we'll have a ball up 60 metres out from the Bombers' goal.
Let him off the hook there, Brandon Zirk Thatcher. It was a bit of a nothing kick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had a long option and a short option, and he kicked it in the middle.
Tossed up, more. Mason Cox tried to go early, but Draper took another arc, kicks inside 50. Wright tries to knock it on to Guelph, screws it back. No one's there for the Bombers, and Maynard marks on his chest. Straight down the middle to Lipinski. 35 metres out from his defensive goal, the city end, where all the goals have come in this match. Out towards Jeremy Howe. He marks it right half back. Can feed the hand pass further still. Nick Dacos takes a bounce as he runs the southern wing. Looks up, side bottom's free. He works it around the boundary line to him.
Bombers are certainly covering off the outlets a lot quicker than what they were in that first quarter.
Snelling putting a bit of an attention into Nick Dacos as side bottom goes around the boundary line to Quaynor. Marks between wing and half forward for Collingwood. They'd lead by 11 points, but they got out in the first quarter by 38 points at quarter time. Quaynor looks to load up. A long kick inside 50. Myercheck sets himself. Spoiled down by Zirk Thatcher. Ridley quickly out of defence, but straight to Collingwood numbers in the middle of the MCG and Pendlebury marks.
Pies by 11. 17 and a half played second term. It's rare that we've seen much footy all day in the front half as Pendlebury's kicks a shocker. Intercepted by Guelphy. And he's closest to the goals at the City end for Essendon when he takes the mark and still in the back half, so he has to wait for some numbers. He kicks out wide for 2 metre Peter Wright. Looks back inboard to McGrath. It's been Essendon's quarter with the only 4 goals of the term. Short to Hind. McCreary spectacularly slips over on the mark. That was the response from the crowd. And he's back up and standing the spot. As Hind kicks inside 50, Wright flies. Quaynor swats it down from the back. Stringer tries to keep it alive. Pendlebury says, "You're coming with me," and tackles him over the boundary line. A throw in 45 out from the Essendon goal, and now Pendlebury and Stringer are into it.
He was a bit grumpy with himself, Pendles, after that, speaking of rare, that really terrible mistake across half forward. Now they're scrambling again. Bombers have field position.
Thrown back in. Draper and Cox need to get a decisive tap. It spills to Hind. Hand pass on half forward to Shield. Sold around Taylor Adams. Looks inside 50. Where's Wright? In from the side. Guelphy. So courageous. I'm not sure how he claimed the mark.
It's like a little slips catch, standing in the gully. Wasn't sure it was going to him and stuck out the right mitt. Good grab in the end. Good contact.
He's brave. There's no doubt about that.
Just threw himself into the chaotic position. Knew Howell might be coming the other direction. Made contact and somehow held the mark.
They're just doing the little things really well at the moment, the Bombers. They're forcing contests in the air. I'm not sure we've had an uncontested mark in the D50 for Collingwood. I think the first quarter they were marking him at will, but this quarter they're just getting a hand in, just forcing it to ground.
Matt Guelphy, a real heart and soul player for the Dons. He comes in on a 45-degree angle from 35 metres out and makes it 5 on the trot. And all of a sudden the Bombers, who trailed by 38 points at quarter time, are within a goal. Collingwood by 5, 6-2-38 to the Bombers 5-3-33. 20 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport. You're with Luke Ball and Mark Murphy.
Well, it's just a drubbing around the ball. There's no other way to put it this quarter. Dylan Shield, Heppel, Merritt, they're going to have to get some. They have to change the mix around the ball. The Pies, I think, get some zip in there. I'm not sure who it is. It looks like Elliott's gone in there now because and it's starting with Draper in the ruck. It was just starting to monster Cameron and Cox too. But clearance is 11-3 for the quarter, Murph, to go with that first. So 24-9 for the game.
They've been so much more direct this quarter,
that's
haven't
the
they?
thing, and they're using the ball better, and then they're setting up their defence better behind the ball. So the Pies aren't able to transition it out. So all things going well for the Dons at the moment.
Is that
Here they go again.
Excellent season, Matt Guelphy with his first of the day as Draper wins it down to Shield. So another clearance for Essendon. Hand pass to Martin. His kick is a turnover as Guelphy beaten there by Maynard. Marks at half back. The clearance number's 12-3 in the quarter, Essendon's way. As Maynard just has to go short to Adams, and Essendon much better set up without the footy.
Wouldn't be trading Brodie Grundy, Torb.
Adams kicks in the middle of the ground.
That's a great kick.
Here's Myercheck who takes the mark. Second generation VFL AFL footballer. His old man Jack played for the Dons. Now in Collingwood colours. A younger Myercheck kicks to the top of the goal square. Cameron competes. It spills down Collingwood's way. Heavy tackle, no free kick for holding the ball as Hoskin Elliott's locked up. And then Just Elliott is taken over the boundary line in the tackle. We'll have a throw in forward pocket for the Pies at the punt right end. Hasn't been much activity down there. All 11 goals to the City end of the ground. Collingwood by 5.
Haven't scored in this quarter, the Pies. It clears Draper and Cameron in the back. Pendlebury tries to break through the Merritt tackle. Shield picks it up. Hand pass to Hobbs. Kicks to the southern wing. Collingwood are well set. And Howe takes the intercepting mark. Centre of the southern wing. Collingwood by 5 points. Jeremy Howe spinning the footy in his hands. He looks for options inside 50. Loads up. Sends it long towards Cameron. He's going to run at it. And big Sam Draper sets himself and takes the mark. 30 metres out from his defensive goal.
He's growing in confidence, isn't he? Every game he plays, he's a star big man on the ground at the moment, Sam Draper.
I wonder how much confidence that goal last week would have given him. He would have been off the Richter scale. Out of defensive 50 through Happel. He works it up to Hine, who marks it right half back. Interestingly, it was the second quarter last week, Corby, where they kicked 5 goals 6 against the Gold Coast Suns, and I think their pressure rating was over 200%, so they've been a good second quarter side.
Hine short to Hobbs. The 18-year-old goes long down the wing, racing out after it. Jones got a fair piece of it, no mark. Spills to right, jams it on the boot, but turns it over. And Noble takes the intercept mark for Collingwood, so trying to launch a counter-attack here. Josh Dacos swings it from one back flank to the other. Out to Howe, who takes the mark defensive side, southern wing, not a great kick as it clean bowls everyone, bouncing down to half forward for Collingwood. Myercheck up to meet it, hand pass back in the centre square. Snelling knocks it down to Merritt's advantage. His hand pass affected by Crisp, picked up by Adams, gives it back to Crisp, heads inside 50, missed McCreary. Hind knocks it out in front of himself a couple of times and ultimately out of play. And the umpire says not enough intent to keep it in. Deliberate free kick for McCreary, high half forward for Collingwood.
He's a bit stiff, Hine. I think
he's tapping the ball out in front of him, wasn't he?
And then it bounced back in, and it was just it was almost the velocity with which it went out that made the umpire react. But I think he's a bit stiff there.
He's 55 metres out, McCreary, so he's just going to have to lay it up to the top of the goal square. Cox down there, Zirk Thatcher with the spoil, spills to McGrath, got boot to ball. Hoskin Elliott tries to soccer it forward, but Nick Martin there. Hand pass away to Redmond. He kicks out to half-back, and Hind will get another go. Takes the mark at half-back.
It's not looking dangerous at all. Forward to centre this quarter, the Pies. Both in the air, and when the ball hits the ground too, the Bombers been able to get back in numbers. And
it's been great work rate from Andrew Phillips and Sam Draper, both when they've been in the ruck, getting back and supporting the defence.
Hind inboard to McGrath, kicks towards Durham in from the side. Maynard can't complete the mark, and it spills out of play in front of the two benches.
The scorecard looks like the old sort of John Coleman, Gordon Coventry days where there's sort of 6 goals at one end, 5 goals at the other. You'd think you're at Windy Hill or Vic Park with a howling breeze. That's certainly not the case with the modern stadiums.
I remember doing a game down in Tassie where there was a scoring end. I think it was 6 or 7 goals. You'd have to be in front at three-quarter time. Pendlebury laid a good tackle on Hobbs. The ball spills clear. Eventually the umpire blows his whistle. It's for a hold, and it's going to be a Collingwood free kick. Jack Crisp is going to take it on the members' wing.
I think Caldwell's definitely going to Pendlebury at the moment everywhere around the ground.
Collingwood by 5 points. Crisp gains a few metres, gets towards half forward, kicks towards Cameron, can't complete the mark. It spills down. Myercheck dodges and weaves. Hand pass to McCreary. He snaps on the right to the goal line, and Redmond taps it through. The goalkeeper on the last line. Collingwood's first score of the second quarter comes at the 24-minute mark. It's a behind. They lead by a goal.
In the early game, Carlton beat GWS by 6 goals, so Collingwood have dropped to 7th on the premiership table. Interesting to note, though, if they win today, they'll be in the top 4 at the end of the round. High stakes for the Magpies. They lead by 6. Redmond on the exiting kick out, long to the wing. Wright is being held. Free kick for Peter Wright. Defensive side of the wing. If you've just flicked on the radio, first 6 goals of the game to Collingwood, last 5 goals of the game to Essendon. Pies by 6. Wright heads down to the other big man in Phillips and whacked away by Howe. Over the boundary line, we'll have a throw in, 70 out from the Essendon goal.
It's no doubt the pressure from Essendon has been great around the ball, but they're covering off of outlets once Collingwood do win the footy has been noticeably different in this second quarter.
Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport. Toss back in. Cox slapped it to the front. Looking for Elliott. McGrath gets a touch in there. Picked up by Lipinski. Back to Elliott. Tackled by McGrath. Gets a hand pass forward. Lipinski knocks it on. McCreary shows good pace. Through the middle of the ground. Hand pass to Chris. Set him a challenge. He gets a hand pass forward past Snelling. McCreary still going. Got it to Chris. Now to Ginnivan. Hand passes over the top. Hoskin Elliott on the goal line or Myercheck. Myercheck snaps it over his shoulder. And Collingwood eventually get the goal. They extend their lead out to 12 points, the Magpies, with their first goal of the second quarter. 7-3-45 to Essendon 5-3-33. It probably would have been fitting if Ginnivan had kicked it himself, but he did the team thing. And then it was just Hoskin Elliott or Myercheck who was going to do the rest of the job.
Well, was that foot going, Cook?
Coach said he wanted more handballs from Jack
Ginnivan. Well, he's only had the one of each today, so quite half so far. But it was at the clearance. They won the clearance, which they've really struggled to do this quarter, as we know. And it was that forward surge footy. It wasn't pretty, but when McCreary gets going and Crisp's gone on the ball, and his leg speed's been really important in this last 5 minutes. With McCreary involved, just that surge forward, Richmond style footy, I guess, and certainly wasn't pretty. And Ginnivan involved, you're right, probably should have kicked the goal himself, a little bit unselfish, and Myercheck gets on the end of it.
First goal of the day at the punt road end. Pies by 12 points. Cox just knocks it forward. Adams soccers it to centre half forward. They all leave it behind. Hoskin, Elliott, Clever soccers it deeper inside 50. Myercheck up to meet it. Goes without it. McCreary grabs it. Heavy tackle. Zirk Thatcher makes it stick. And a ball up, 35 out from the Pies goal. And the yellow Sharon returned to Matt Stevick, who tosses it up in the air. Just whacked forward by Cox to Jamie Elliott, who shoots goalward but misses. Narrowly to the left. Pies by 13.
It's a better couple of moments from Mason Cox in the ruck. He'd been given a bit of a bath in there by Sammy Draper this quarter, but I don't mind that, Murph. When you're under the pump, just belt it forward, get momentum going that way.
Ridley into Redmond, and now to Andy McGrath. He switches play to right half back where Laverty takes the marking. Kick up to Guelphy. Maynard in from the side, spoiled it down. Bianco for Collingwood, hand pass to Nick Dacos. Back to Bianco, awkward left foot, but it found side bottom. Edge of the centre square at half forward. He pushes back behind his mark, waiting for options, potentially something short. Now decides to drive it long into the path of Myercheck. Great mark in front, Redmond. Two doing battle at the highest point. And Mason Redmond set himself, came in from the side, and he landed awkwardly.
Yeah, he did. Came down hard on his head.
Right on the middle of the back as he hit the turf.
Yep.
But he did have the footy in his hands.
Sorry, Clinchy. He's a star. Genuine star of the comp.
24 years of age, had a breakout season, Mason Redmond. As he goes along to the wing. Punched away by Moore at the back, down into the part that Bianco did well to kick it forward, but no one there. Laverty, the intercept mark for Essendon. Pies by 13 points. Collingwood kicked the first 6, Essendon the next 5, and then a steady in goal for Myercheck as we close in on half-time. Laverty goes down the wing. Phillips in good position. No mark. Cox swats it down at the back to Maynard. Hand pass from Adams. He missed Bianco by hand. Hines onto it for Essendon. He kicks to Peter Wright, who's all alone. Open forward 50. A couple of one-on-ones. Wright's just going to go long to the hot spot. Jeremy Howe climbs over his teammate Quaynor in a double fister. Punches it out of bounds. A spectacular spoil, if there's such a thing. And we got a boundary throw in forward pocket for the Dons. Collingwood by 13.
That would be a Golden Fist winner if there was such an award. Thrown back in, Bombers deep in attack. Phillips doing the ruck work against Cox, knocks it down. Caldwell, hand pass to Heppel. He feeds it to Merritt, hard against the boundary. Kicks towards the corridor, up goes Durham. Can't take the mark against Murphy. Charging in Guelphy, trying to get it to Jones. Hand pass to Langford just as the siren sounds. Langford just couldn't quite get boots of ball, and there's a bit of pushing and shoving with Jones straight into Nick Dacos. And no surprise that the cavalry comes to support a few of the young Chargers who are having a word or two to say to each other at half-time. Jake Stringer's in there. He's been dragged away. Taylor Adams and Kyle Langford. Eventually they will be separated. There's probably nothing to gain but the AFL chalking up some fines, so they'll head to their respective huddles with still a little bit to be said between the two sides. But Collingwood leading by 13 points at the main break, 7-4-46 to the Bombers, 5-3-33. Essendon in that second term, kicking 5 goals 2 to Collingwood's 1-2 after the Magpies kicked the opening 6 goals of the match. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Just noticing that Mason Redmond came straight to the bench when that siren sounded. He's in the hands of the trainers and the doctors now and heading straight to the room, so obviously going to get further assessed after that heavy landing earlier. So he's not out there with the rest of his teammates, but heading straight down the room for further assessment.
Thanks, Jess. So for Collingwood, 3 goals to Ash Johnson coming in the opening term. Individuals to Myercheck, Cameron Pendlebury and Josh Dacos. For the Bombers, all their goals came in this second quarter. 2 to Wright, individuals to Jones, Phillips and Guelphy. Half-time at the MCG, Collingwood by 13 points. Earlier, Carlton by 36 points over GWS. The thoughts of Mark Murphy and Luke Ball, your experts on ABC Sport.
Well, it was a great response, wasn't it, from the Bombers in that first 25 minutes. The Pies just got momentum back their way, and it started at the clearance and contested footy. I mean, they were really towed up in that quarter. They can't, there's no two ways about it. The Pies plus 16 for the quarter in the contested footy. The Bombers and plus 7 in the end, but at one stage they were plus 12 clearance-wise. So they've still got some problems. They've still got some headaches, the Pies. In the end, they put Crisp in there, which I thought was a good move. That he got some run going, he got a bit of ping around. They were looking a bit flat-footed around the clearances, and Cox started to level out the hit-ups a bit more because Draper was all over him that quarter. But it was a good response from the Bombers after that first quarter dominance from the Pies. And, things are reasonably level at half-time, Murph. So, if you're a Bomber supporter, you're very happy with that response. Probably left a couple out there. They had, at one stage, they had, I think, plus 7 or 8 in terms of inside 50s as well. So they really controlled field position, and they were able to stop the Pies transitioning the footy back through the corridor as well. So got to work at quarter time, and they got the response that they were after, and we go into half time with a much more even contest.
Yeah, well, it was a big tick from Essendon, really. You're sitting here at quarter time thinking, well, it's just a matter of by how much, really. When you're 6 goals down, when you're in the last 4 or 5 games of the season and you know you're not going to play finals and you're playing against a side who's got everything on the line, you could have probably expected maybe the old Essendon just to lay over and die, but the way in which they attacked the ball, the contest in that early part of that second quarter, and then just their ability to cover off the outlets once Collingwood did win the ball was noticeably different from that second quarter compared to that first. So their mindset being able to go, righto, we'll cop our medicine, let's just get back to our contest work, make sure we're defending really hard, then just give our forwards first opportunity by getting the ball indirect when there's opportunity, but also building the ball up with a bit of patience as well.
Yeah, got 5 goals, 2 from 13 inside 50, so much better ball use. And as you said, it was a good balance between going fast, out of the clearance, where we know we've got even numbers ahead of the ball, going fast and giving Wright an opportunity one-on-one. And we saw, even as good as Darcy Moore is, we saw him reaching for the jumper and giving a free kick away. And other times they were just a bit slower, as you said, a bit more methodical. And we know the Pies back 6 like to zone off and drop off and anticipate that long ball. At times they're able to lower their eyes and work their way up through uncontested marks as well. So much better quarter from the Bombers, and certainly obviously breathed a lot more life into this contest. The Pies' last 5 minutes was a lot better and really important because they looked really all at sea in that second quarter. So they were just able to get the game back on their terms in that last 5 minutes, and it started around the ball, but they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and it would have been hugely deflating for Essendon to come in at half-time being 3 or 4 goals down for all that good work they did in that second quarter. So to be able to just stem the flow there in that last 5 minutes when, as you said, Collingwood were really coming, just to not let up another goal or two was really important.
Pies had the last 7 inside 50s despite the dominance from the Bombers in that second. Luke Ball and Mark Murphy, your experts on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch and Corbin Minimas calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Let's get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Jean Kennedy. The death toll from a house fire in Sydney's southwest has risen to 3, with the death of a child. Emergency services were called to the fire early this morning at Hinchinbrook. 6 people were evacuated from the home. 2 women, aged in their 40s and 60s, died at the scene, and a 10-year-old boy has since died in hospital. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. A man has been charged with murder after a woman's body was found in bushland in Sydney's northwest. Husnia Shams reports.
Police found the body during a search of bushland in Dural yesterday. The body is yet to be formally identified, but police believe it to be that of missing woman Shireen Kumar. The 43-year-old was reported missing last Thursday. She was last seen leaving a home in Dural by foot in pyjamas on Wednesday night. A 37-year-old man arrested in a Dural house late last night has been charged with murder. He's been refused bail and is due to face court today.
The Pope is due to fly to Canada later today on what he calls a pilgrimage of penance. Pope Francis is due to repeat an apology to Indigenous survivors of abuse at Roman Catholic-run schools. The unmarked graves of hundreds of Indigenous children have been found, children taken from their homes, sometimes by force, and abused. Canadian Indigenous priest Father Christina Bouvet stressed the positives of the Pope's visit.
I believe that there are some who probably have the perspective that there's nothing to be grateful for. The Pope needs to do this. We shouldn't be thanking him, and I'm not thanking him per se, but we weren't going to go and grab him by force and drag him to Canada and hold a gun to his head until he said he was sorry. He's freely choosing to do this. He has prioritized this.
The ACT government has announced an $11 million investment aimed at reducing the over-incarceration of Indigenous people in the Territory. The programs to receive funding in next month's budget include support for ex-inmates to reconnect with the country and an alternative bail program. Canberra Community Law Executive Director Genevieve Bolton says First Nations people face many barriers within the criminal justice system.
The justice system is incredibly complex to navigate. It's laid with lots of bureaucracy, and there are significant barriers to be able to access vital support.
The United States has accused Russia of worsening a global food crisis by carrying out a missile strike on the Ukrainian port of Odessa. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Moscow has breached the landmark agreement to resume grain shipments. The BBC's James Waterhouse reports from Odessa.
It's less than a day since a deal was signed between Russia, Turkey, the United Nations and Ukraine to allow millions of tons of grain to leave the country through the Black Sea. It's this conflict's first diplomatic breakthrough, which could boost Ukraine's damaged economy and help address a global food crisis. According to Turkey, Russia claims it has nothing to do with the attack. As far as Ukraine's President Zelensky is concerned, it shows the Kremlin will always find ways to break promises. His government says preparations for grain exports will continue, but the dangers of this fragile operation are very real, with the stakes very high.
The National College for GPs says more doctors will leave regional and rural areas unless patients help them cover their costs by paying gap fees. Medicare rebates have increased by 1.6%, but practice costs have inflated to over 5%, leaving doctors struggling to keep their practices open. The Royal Australian College of GPs Dr Daniel Burns says successive governments have failed to address the issues, with doctors leaving as a result.
I don't know why, but governments like to wait until things are so bad that there's no alternative. They work in crisis mode. So this has been poor planning over a decade.
Splendour in the Grass organisers have apologised for bus delays last night as thousands of people tried to make their way home from the music festival. In a post on Instagram, organisers say they're doing everything they can to secure extra services for tonight's exit, but says it's challenging in the current conditions. One festival attendee says she feels as if a lot of things weren't communicated.
I don't feel like we got too many notifications, and like this campground especially doesn't have like good reception, so I don't really get anything unless I go to the event. So yeah, everything's just been like talk from people, which is fine.
You're up to date with the latest from the ABC Newsroom. For more news at any time, you can download the ABC Listen app or go to our website.
If you love sport, we've got the podcast for you. ABC Sport Daily, it's your daily sports conversation.
Well, he's a craftsman. He's a dog with a bone. He doesn't let go. He's gritty.
If someone was to tell me in 2018, when I was a bit down on life and sitting on the couch, in a couple of years' time you would be world champion, I would not believe you.
James crossing the try line and then being embraced and mobbed and hugged by his teammates.
ABC Sport Daily. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice.
90 years of the ABC.
You are, we are Australian.
90 years yours.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Will Snelling has a set shot that doesn't have the trip. Kicks it across the face and Peter Wright marks it in front of the behind post in the opposite pocket. The first 8 goals of the game have come to the City end. You can make it 9 as Peter Wright hooks it through. Hobbs, the teenager, the youngest man on the ground, goes out wide to Heppel. He kicks to the hot spot. Phillips, standing in front of the pack, takes the mark. He's 3 straight for the year. He can't miss. Straight in front, the Bombers have 4 in a row.
Hand pass on half forward to Shield, sold around Taylor Adams, looks inside 50, where's right, in from the side, Guelphy. So courageous. I'm not sure how he claimed the mark. Matt Guelphy, a real heart and soul player for the Dons. He comes in from 35 metres out and makes it 5 on the trot. McCreary shows good pace through the middle of the ground. Hand pass to Chris. Set him a challenge. He gets a hand pass forward past Snelling. McCreary still going. Got it to Chris. Now to Ginnivan. Hand passes over the top. Hoskin Elliott on the goal line on Myercheck. Myercheck snaps it over his shoulder. And Collingwood eventually get the goal.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time of the MCG, Sunday afternoon footy. It's Collingwood who lead Essendon by 13 points, 7-4-46 for the Bombers, 5-3-33. What a fascinating game of footy we've got. Collingwood kicked the opening 6 goals of the match. They led by 37 points at quarter time, 6 goals to none. And in the second half, or second quarter, the Bombers put on 5 goals to 1 to close the gap back to, at one stage, 5 points before Collingwood answered with the only goal to the punt road end in that first half through Brodie Myercheck. And it's a 13-point lead Collingwood's way at the main break. Matt Clinch, Corbin Middlemass, Luke Ball, Mark Murphy and Jess Webster with you for Sunday afternoon footy. Earlier today it was the Blues by 36 points over GWS. Charlie Curnow with 4 goals, Harry Mackay with 2, Toby Green with 3. And the match between the West Coast Eagles and the Saints about to get underway from Perth. So Aaron Bryans is going to keep us across that. Plenty of your correspondence coming through on the SMS. One potentially for you, Murph. Neil from the MyPole Open Range Zoo. I assume that's somewhere in Victoria. Cleaned off the mud from the safari truck while listening and enjoying the call. Did you brave taking the kids to the aquarium, you said, over the weekend?
I did yesterday. Went to the aquarium. I enjoyed the Werribee Zoo much more, though.
Okay.
Not to bag the aquarium, but the open range zoo down there in Werribee was a good time throughout the summer. So went down there with Max and Jesse and Amy, which is good.
You're more a land mammal than in the water.
I don't like the water.
Yeah.
Too cold. I'm not sure if it's to do with early morning sessions that we notoriously did for all those years. I still remember when Lance Whitnell told us in my second year that if we were to lose 2 games in a row, we'd be going down to the beach at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. It's fair to say we're down there most weeks.
Yeah. Max is 4 now. You're
4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. His favourite animal at the aquarium. Does he have a?
He didn't mind the seahorse. And then when he saw it up close, he wasn't that impressed.
Always looks better in the pictures. Although, credit to you, out of our 2 experts who attended the snow last weekend, you've returned.
Yep.
A cheerio to Brett Delidio, who's unfortunately not with us this week due to the health and safety protocols. So keep your chin up, Lids. I've got no doubt you're listening to our call.
At least he didn't do a calf, though. That was what I was probably worried about, him not actually being able to walk up here.
That's true. Plenty of correspondence, Paulie, coming through around the Jack Ginnivan call. Here's a little taste of them. Surely the AFL risk the big-name law firms taking on serious personal injury actions if the rules mean head-high tackles like Ginnivan's in the first quarter are not prevented or at least deterred by appropriate rules. So that's 1. No free kick for genuine coat hangers anymore. That's from Brownie from Upway. Ken from Port Augusta. Ginnivan's being hard done by. And I'll weave in a few more in a moment or so while the screen's refreshing. But you sort of gave us your best snapshot, which our ABC Sport Online social team has posted on a Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, that it was a high call and that the umpire probably missed one there.
Yeah, I think that's as simple as that. Now, up until today, they've got it in for Ginnivan. I haven't looked too deeply into, but to me that one seems that was very much, that's number 33, I'm not going to pay this one. Because they played other high free kicks today that have been there. So that one was very much second guess. That's, the guy with the peroxide hair, sorry, not going to get the benefit of the doubt. But regardless of who that was, and I'm black and white hat off here, that was just a bad miss. It was just a high tackle. You could ask Mason, it almost looked like he followed through with it and he knew it was a bad tackle. He knew he didn't go low enough. And he was almost ready to get up and stand the mark. So it was just a bad miss. But this is the unfortunate thing. We're going to be talking about it all week, which is annoying.
And this is the problem because the umpires are in a no-win situation because the AFL moved so publicly to clarify this because seemingly there's not enough to talk about in the footy landscape at the moment. It's been going on for years. Joel Selwood's been doing it. Luke Shuey's done it. Jack Ginnivan is doing nothing new. But because it gets
do it.
spotlighted, yeah, there you go. The umpire is embarrassed because he doesn't want to be made to look like a dill by Jack Ginnivan. So essentially he thinks, I don't want to pay this because I don't want to highlight it all week that I've fallen for it and paid a free kick. So essentially he makes no decision. And he's also looked like a dill because the umpire's got it wrong. He's in a no-win situation by the way it's been handled.
Yeah.
I think the other part that makes it so hard is if it happens in the back 50, it's not being scrutinised in the same way it happens in the forward 50, where teams are kicking goals and winning on the back of some of those free kicks being called, especially if you're in a scenario like Collingwood where you've won 5 close games and you can look at any little moment that could have changed the outcome of the match.
I can't think of any other interpretation ever where it's been basically solely off one player's actions. Really, it's quite extraordinary that the AFL have moved so hard to try and outlaw a small, minute part of the game because a young player's come in with a bit of gusto, and he certainly looks for the high contact. There's no doubt about that, but still, like he's there winning the ball. He's got to get looked after. But I think, Paul, you're right. Probably they just missed one. Just so happened to beat Ginnivan, but
there's been a few others. He's been the most public of it.
Yeah.
But maybe because he plays for Collingwood as well. But there's been a few. But as you said, Corbett, it's been happening for years. And
it's
the onus is still on the tackler, and that one in particular was a really poorly executed tackle. And you'd ask, I think it was Mason Redmond. He would say that's absolutely right. So. Unfortunately, we're going to be talking about it for another week, aren't we?
I thought the most comical part of the week was when the AFL unveiled their 18 men's and women's teams, so all the captains had to front up. Murphy would have done this, no doubt, back in the day. And Joel Selwood's asked, well, how do you see this rule interpretation changing? He said, I'll leave that for Chris Scott and the coaches to deal with. They'll tell us how to play.
Well, he's too smart, and he's done it well. But Sel's been one of the all-time great ball winners, and just so happenly enjoys not milking a freak here, but drawing it because it's smart. Because you can't just put your head in the hole all the time and not get caught high, not have a way of trying to draw a high free kick every now and again.
I go back to Sam Mitchell. He was asked about it 2 or 3 weeks ago as coach, and he was pretty blunt on it. He said, we spend 5 minutes a week maybe talking about it. So if you're playing Collingwood this week, and it even would be more of a divisional sort of thing, the senior coach wouldn't address it because he's got bigger fish to fry. But if you're playing on a guy who does that, if you're playing on someone who fends off with their hand or does other things, you've got to be ready for it. But unfortunately, I feel like that'll be top of the agenda. He's had in the week.
He's had an extraordinary year, Jack Ginnivan. Obviously, breakout game on Anzac Day, best of field, but just the magnetism that he has is phenomenal for a second-year player. So we've seen players come along in their first year, whether it's amazing first years on field from guys like Reece Palmer and Daniel Rich and now Nick Dacos and these sort of amazing year one. But I don't think I've seen a player in year 2 that's had the bounce that he's had, where last year he was just a guy, sort of blended into the Collingwood team. And then in year 2, you hear the roar that goes around the stadium every time he touches the footy. It's amazing his popularity, how much it's grown in season 2.
No, it's great. It's a bit of showmanship too. It's what that's what we want. That's why we come to the football, to watch these great characters and great footballers strut their stuff. And there's nothing more you enjoy watching than players go out there and be themselves and carry on a little bit, and that's why we love it. But I know you're a big fan of him, Corby. You got him on TikTok. You're a big follower, so you'll show me on the way in.
He's in my For You page, absolutely.
He doesn't mind the villain role either. 2 games in the NRL today. Canterbury defeated the Gold Coast Titans, 36 points to 26, and in the game between the West Tigers and North Queensland, it's 12-6 the way of West Tigers. Great to see Peter Bowl finish 7th in the World Athletics Championships this morning as well, so well done to him in the 800 metres, all eyes to the Commonwealth Games now. Second half about to get underway. Collingwood by 13. Here's Corby.
We'll get to Jess in just a moment. I don't like what I'm seeing walking along the boundary line for the Bombers. Back in the middle as we start the third quarter. Pendlebury with the first kick as he just trickles one out towards the southern wing. It's picked up by Josh Dacos as he just goes short over the top trying to find Crisp. No mark. He's dragged down along with Laverty close to the boundary line. Martin, hand pass away to Caldwell. They've kept it alive, the Dons. Gives it to Merritt. Short kick to Snelling. Hands it back to Merritt. Heads inside 50. Good mark, Darcy Moore. Up strong. Takes the intercept in front of Langford. And he's got it for Collingwood, top of the defensive goal square. Jess Webster is on the boundary. Jess.
Mason Redmond has been subbed out of the game for Essendon. Braden Ham comes on. Redmond obviously got assessed after that heavy landing late in that last quarter. Good news is he's sitting on the back of the bench, but he's done for the day.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, that's no good for Mason Redmond. Darcy's Moore long kick picked off by Sam Draper. Southern wing kicks inside 50. Moore almost juggled the mark, dropped it at the last moment. Stringer onto it, hand pass straight to Maynard of Collingwood. His hand pass to a stationary Adams, dragged down. Guelphy got it to Merritt, kicks out to right. He takes the mark in the right forward pocket. 5 metres in from the boundary. He'll kick from about 40 metres out.
Just a turnover again, which caught the defenders napping. I think it was Maynard. It's the wrong option. Under pressure in the back 50. Deferred to the long kick out of trouble. Went for the handball and well turned over by the Bombers. And nice vision. Was it Guelphy?
No, it was Merritt.
Who'd chosen the wrong option, the inside 50 before that. That time his vision was superb.
Couple of goals for Peter Wright in the second quarter. Comes in, crosses 50. It's out to the left. And it just scrapes in for a minor score in the end. Collingwood's lead is 12 points as the Bombers score the first score in the third term through 2 minutes on ABC Sport.
He's up to 44 goals for the year. Peter Wright, he's kicked 19 of them in the last 6 weeks. Just to behind there as Howard links up with Bianco, kicks down the wing. She floating across in front. Maynard pulled out on the mark, falls to side bottom, trickles a kick to half forward. Ricochets back to him. He and Shield bowled over. Ginnivan waiting at the back, collects the footy. Hard up against the boundary line, kicks to the top of the goal square. Johnson competes. Ridley kills it through for a rush behind. So one either way to start the third term. Collingwood by 13. Jess on the boundary.
Just further details on Mason Redmond. The paramedics went down into at half-time to check him out. He's been ruled out with internal bruising, so a very heavy landing and not good news there for Mason.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, that courageous mark in the second quarter, but no good after then. The kick in for the Bombers from Ridley finds Durham, who takes the mark at left half back. Another Bomber who's on the rise goes short to Shield. He has it at left half back. Wanting someone to lead up towards him. No one really does. Who will send it long towards right. Or in fact more inboard towards Draper. Great kick. Couldn't complete the mark at the top of the centre square. It does spill though to Merritt, who looks inside 50. Lays a pass as he finds Nick Martin, who's pushed forward. And he marks on a 45-degree angle. A kick from about 45 metres out.
It's a long kick to a corridor-based kick though, Murph, again, isn't it? So it's a little bit riskier in terms of what can happen if it turns over, but sometimes you've got to back it. When you've got a key or a dominant big guy like Draper, now he didn't take the mark, but it's predictable, isn't it? So you get numbers at his feet, which they had the outnumber, and Merritt involved again. They're at the stage now that the Pies need to do something about Zach Merritt. He's up to 24 possessions, and when he's getting them forward of centre, usually they're leading to scores.
Talk about guys who've had a breakout season. Nick Martin from inside 50 comes in and puts through his 18th goal of the season. And first of the afternoon, which closes the gap to 7 points Collingwood's way. The Bombers first on the board in the third term through 4 minutes. They're 6-4-40, trailing Collingwood 7-5-47. This is a guy who was picked up with one of the last spots on the list at the start of the season from WA, Nick Martin, with his first goal of the afternoon.
Well, it's a great return, isn't it, for a young kid to have 18 goals at this point of the season. That's bonus, isn't it, really? So he's been terrific for the Bombers this year. But you talked about the corridor bias of that kick, Bally. You was probably more seeing that from Collingwood in the first quarter, but there's no point kicking to the boundary side when you've got all the space corridor side. So just great identification by Shield to see all the space in front in the corridor and put it in the big man's direction.
One of the best debuts you'll ever see from Nick Martin, 27-5 on this ground way back in round one. And he's backed it up, as we touched on, with 18 for the season. We got a secondary ball up alongside the centre circles. Collingwood by 7. After kicking the first 6 goals of the game, Essendon working their way right back into it. And here's Merritt again, Bally with the clearance, kicks out wide. Durham picks it up for Essendon, hand pass to Hobbs, threads it through to Guelphy. Took on one tackler, Quaynor got him the second time. And a free kick for Collingwood. And the defender Isaac Quaynor swings his kick out wide to Ginnivan. And the baggy shorts, he's had a haircut during the week, so he's got the peroxide blonde hair, but a little shorter than what we've seen throughout the season. He kicks to the hot spot. Draper up strong, marking over the top of Darcy Cameron. G's won that battle today. Marks at centre half back for the Dons. Collingwood by 7 points, 5 minutes played, third quarter.
Early stages in Perth, the Eagles and the Saints. Let's check in with Aaron Bryans.
Clinchy St Kilda leading 2-1-13 to the Eagles, yet to score 12.5 played. Some concern over Jack Billings, who's jogged to the rooms in the opening few minutes. The Saints sub Ben Long warming up at the moment.
Thanks, Aaron. Draper's long kick, spoiled away by Darcy Moore, and a ball up On half forward for the Pies. Draper rises, but Cameron knocks it down. McGrath and Hobbs run into each other. Players surge on top of them. Crisp and Sidebottom locking it up for Collingwood. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Dylan Shealer's now getting some work done on the bench. He's got the right boot off. A nasty case of blisters, and he's even helping out the trainer to get the blisters, little Band-Aids on there so he can get out there as soon as possible.
Underrated injury, that, the blister.
Yeah, can take down any good man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jess. Hobbs tried to break clear, couldn't do so the umpire throws it up once more. It comes down to Sidebottom, hand pass to Bianco, kicks towards the teeth of goal. Elliott trying to get a run at it, but Zerk Thatcher, great mark. Just got away from Myercheck and was able to take a good mark backing back. Straight down the middle to Heppel. Wants to switch it out to left half back where Durham takes the mark.
He's had a good month, Zerk Thatcher. 4th consecutive game for the Dons as Durham hands it to Merritt, who's got it on a string, kicks down the boundary line and Wright takes the mark. In front of the Collingwood interchange.
Not sure who it is, but they need to put some time into Merritt. It's probably Crisp. They don't really have a natural defensive mid or a tagger, but he's cutting him up.
Right into Durham, finds Ridley, kicks to centre half forward, hand the target. Quaynor whacks it away, Sidebottom knocks it on too, but Ridley there for the Bombers. Hand pass to McGrath, kick smothered. Nice work from Lipinski. Spills back the Bombers' way as Merritt's locked up and will have a ball up. Middle of the ground. Cracking day at the MCG, 18 degrees, end of July. We think around 70,000 in to see it. Pies by 7.
Draper, as Cameron went over the top, probably gave away the free kick, and Sam Draper will take it just to the right of the centre circles in the middle of the MCG. Cameron making high contact. Draper looks at options inside 50, sends it towards Peter Wright, more in front, spoils it down. Pendlebury onto it, tackled by Stringer and Caldwell. And the umpire will throw it up 40 metres out from the Bombers' goal. Collingwood by 7 points. Keep the opening 6 goals of the game to get out by 38 points. The Bombers controlling the second term. Here's a chance for Merritt. Kicks inside 50 and right on the lead. Couple of metres on Darcy Moore. Beautifully set up by Durham and Merritt. And Peter Wright always dangerous on the lead.
Well, that'll be 3 score assists for the quarter for Zach Merritt to go along with 6 or 7 total possessions. And just too much space there, Darcy Moore. We know that's a strength of his. We know he likes to read the ball, but stoppage inside 50. You can't have the ski rope out on your key forward like that.
45-degree angle, kicking from 35 metres out. Beautiful execution from Peter Wright, who has his third. Kicked it behind early in this third term, but he is a big part of the Bombers' charge, and they're back within a point. 7-5-47 the Pies to Essendon, 7-4-46. 9 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
Do you think McRae sends someone to him at the moment, Bally, or do you think it's more of a whole midfield agenda to say, look, boys, Merritt's getting off the handle here, let's around stoppages, let's be aware of him, and then from stoppage, let's make sure we're accountable and basically eliminate his possession, because he's winning it at the coalface. He's also been that secondary possession player and using the ball on the outside and delivering it inside 50.
He's had 7 possessions for the quarter, Murph, and 6 of those have been uncontested. So you've got to be able to take some of those away. Do they have someone to go to it? I'm not sure. Maybe it's the skipper, Pendlebury.
Taylor Adams, maybe
maybe
not a
it's
bad
Adams
one.
just to go to him, or Crisp, who's done some defensive roles, but whoever it is, they've got to get it to it. Got to get hop to it pretty quick.
The Collingwood by a point. They've led all day. The ruck share it in the middle. Adams chases out after it. Takes on Durham. Wins the footy. Hand pass to Bianco. Sends it across the ground to Nick Dacos. He skids in. Left it behind. Grabs it. Tackled by Caldwell. Ump says play on. Alongside the centre circles. A pack forms. You can throw a blanket over around 10 of them. And in the end, the umpire says ball up. Middle of the G. A 1 point game between these two arch rivals, Collingwood and Essendon. The Pies by a point.
Cox wins down the tap for the Pies, tries to follow up towards Adams. It spills out to Josh Dacos, middle of the MCG, kicks out to the southern wing. Foot races on, racing after it is Kelly. Heppel puts the block on Sidebottom, allows him to gather, kicks inboard, and Shield marks at the back edge of the centre square. Centre half back for the Bombers. They trail by a point, kicks to the outer wing. Nick Martin has it. One of a couple of goal scorers for the Bombers in this third term. Continues around the outer wing, short to Heppel. The Bombers captain veers out to the left, kicks towards the 50. Phillips is there, flying as well, was right in the pack. It spills to the front, Noble run down. Hobbs laid the tackle. Not much intent to knock it out, and he's going to be penalised. John Noble on the bottom of the pack, holding the footy. And Ben Hobbs will take the free kick, 70 out from home.
I think it was a fact of him just going to ground, wasn't it? Really under pressure, and that's involved the tackle, and when you fall on the ball like that as well, the umpire's always going to be hot in your case.
Shields still in some discomfort in the middle of the ground as Hobbs sends it to 2 metre Peter. No mark. Falls down to Langford. Langford puts Essendon in front. First lead change of the day. It comes 11 minutes into the third term, and Cole Langford puts the Bombers up, having trailed by as many as 37 points early in the second term. It's now the Dons by 5, 8-4-52. Collingwood 7-5-47. The Dons by 5.
It's a deeper entry, isn't it? The quality of the deeper entry, or the pressure that it puts the defenders under. And Mason Crocs, he had a decent look at that, but went through his hands. And Kyle Langford, who's had a pretty quiet day, only his 4th possession, was in the right spot, fell into his hands and threw it on the boot, threw onto the left boot.
It's a real soft drop, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But it had been coming. You just felt like the way that the Bombers started this third quarter, they've been pressing, and over to you, Pies. We know they've been in this situation for the last 8 weeks, really. Yeah. So let's see whether they can do it again today.
8 of the last 9 goals have gone the Bombers' way. Back in the middle, Phillips and Cox. It comes down to Pendlebury. Mowed down. Phillips at the clearance. Kicks inside 50. Langford on the chest takes the mark. In front of Maynard. They are so damaging with the centre clearances, the Bombers. And Cole Langford with a chance to kick back-to-back goals and extend their lead. All of a sudden out to 11 points.
They're just being proactive around the stoppage there. It was Pendlebury winning the ball from the contest, but it was just the pressure and forcing the little bumble, and then just the big man Andrew Phillips just getting the ball forward, and Langford finds himself having another set shot on goal.
It's in good hands for the Bomber supporters.
Slow approach as he comes in, puts it out to the right. It's not bending back enough. And a minor score. The Bombers lead by a goal. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Dylan Shields back on the bench. First it was blisters. Now it looks like cramp. He's taken a swig of pickle juice, and 2 trainers are working on his quads at the moment.
Thanks, Jess. We saw him doing some stretches in the middle of the ground. In the moments that he spent back on the playing arena, as Moore with a beautiful kick takes some ground and then swings it out wide to Howe. Pokes the pass into the path of Will Hoskin-Elliott. Never broke stride. Links up with Josh Dacos. Kicks to Moyachek. Backing back, takes the mark in the pocket for the Magpies.
Gee, that's good footy, isn't it?
Straight out of the textbook.
Beautiful kick from Moore. Howe didn't break stride. Beautiful kick. Hoskin-Elliott. It was great running, wasn't it? It was just gut running from all involved. Josh Dacos, who's having a great year, as we know, and then Moyachek beating Zerk Thatcher. It's been a good battle, but just beating him back to goal. That's great footy from the Pies.
Brody Moyachek snapping across the body, drills it. Wipes off the deficit, and we're all knotted up again. 14 minutes into the third term. Collingwood 8-5-53. Essendon 8-5-53. Grandstand AFL. Brody Moyachek with a couple. Bawley and Murphy, statistically, you're twice as likely to concede a score from a kick out than you are to kick one yourself. So that's so rare in the game to see a team go coast to coast, score from a kick out.
And it's been against the flow, hasn't it, of the game. The Bombers have been able to defend the ground pretty well this quarter, but it took some beautiful kicks, didn't it? Just the carry on those kicks. I think it was Howe to Hoskin-Elliott. He just did not have to break stride. Yeah, they needed it, the Pies. They looked a bit flat-footed up until then, and absolutely needed that steadier just to take a bit of breath back. They need to somehow just get a bit of field position here and
get another race set stoppage.
Yeah, create some inside 50s.
Luke Ball and Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch, Corbin Middlemass and Jess Webster in the middle. Lipinski tries to get the clearance at Collingwood. Hand pass the side bottom, kick partially smothered. Hobbs races onto a great one-handed pickup. He's locked up by Steele side bottom, and the umpire will ball it up slightly Collingwood's way inside the centre square. Scores level at 8-5-53 apiece. Cox and Phillips. Phillips wins down the tap and pinballs off Lipinski. Cox tried to put a boot in there. Careful not to give away the free kick. Merritt kicks it end over end towards Ham, the sub, into the action. Taylor Adams' hand pass to Chris. Put him under pressure. Hoskin-Elliott hand pass it straight to Shield. Here go the Bombers. Quick hand pass forward to Ham. Works it to Snelling. To Guelphy inside 50. Back to Snelling. To Langford, top of the goal square. Snaps over his shoulder. He missed it. He missed to the right. They worked it from the middle of the crowd inside the forward 50. Got to 20 metres out all by hand and then couldn't finish the job.
Exciting
Bombers
footy.
by a point.
Yeah, exciting footy out of the stoppage again. Just turnover, though, from the Pies. Had their hands on it, but Langford not quite able to finish.
Dons by 1. He's had 3 scores in a row. Cole Langford and 1 goal to the return. The exiting kick out from Howe's been marked by Laverty, so Essendon trap it in the front half. Mason Redmond subbed out with internal bruising at half-time. As Laverty kicks inside 50, Moore puts his fist through it at the back. Side bottom went without it. Spills to Lipinski. Surge kick up to the wing. Clean pick up for Ridley. Again, Essendon keep it in their forward half. Hand pass to Durham. Goes back by hand to Merritt, who's been everywhere. Just puts it inside 50. Mason Cox leaping up over Snelling. Takes the intercept mark, centre half back for Collingwood.
Let's check in with the match in Perth. West Coast Eagles on the Saints, Darren Bryans.
Clinchy, 3 straight goals for the Eagles through Waterman, Kennedy and Rotham have the Eagles up by 5 approaching quarter time, and Jack Billings has been subbed out of the game with a soft tissue injury.
Thanks, Aaron. Mason Cox has turned it straight over. Kick intercepted by Jaden Laverty. He marks on the members' wing.
Well, they're short ahead of the ball, the Pies. Cox has plonked himself behind the ball, but he looks up and it's really only Ash Johnson to kick to.
Laverty veers out to the right, kicks inside 50. Jones set himself in front, couldn't complete the mark. Unable to clear the congestion was Crisp. He has another go at it. Hand pass picked off by Shield. Hand pass to Martinez offline to the right. And it might just pitch inside the field of play and bounce out in front of Murphy. So not a bad result for the Bombers. It's Essendon leading by a point. They've kicked 3-3 to Collingwood's 1-1 in this third term.
Collingwood led by as many as 37 early in the second term. For the boundary throw in, Draper hooks it down behind. Lipinski tackled by Hind. Says I'll have it. Ball up. Forward 50 for the Bombers. Up it goes. Draper grabbing it out of the ruck. The seat gave way on him on the way down. Falls to Lipinski. Just bangs it out of the defensive arc. Ginnivan keeps himself in front of Kelly. Can't take clean possession. Ball spits out to Kelly. Jams it on the boot for Essendon. Inside forward 50. Draper had a fair piece of it. No mark. Knocks it out to Stringer. Stringer shoots. He's got it. And Essendon have got everything working. Down by 37, now up by 7. A dramatic 7-goal swing in the game. And the Bombers lead it at the 19-minute mark of the third term. Essendon 9-6-60, Collingwood 8-5-53. Mark Murphy and Luke Paul on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Sam Draper, what a special player at the moment, just to force a contest, and he was basically out of position against Mason Cox. The fall of the ball was going to end up in Mason Cox's hands, but Big Sammy Draper just worked his body just really hard into the big American or Australian citizen now, but followed up with a great secondary tap onto Stringer, and Stringer on the left foot. He's only had the 6 disposals in the 1 goal, Jackie Stringer, but he's one of those blokes who doesn't need a lot of opportunity to have a big influence on the game.
I was going to say, what was that match against Sydney where he kicked a couple late and basically won them the game? Taylor Adams gets the clearance for Collingwood. Hand pass to Pendlebury. Kicks inside 50. Myercheck had looked to lead back towards goal. It allowed Ridley to lunge forward and take an uncontested mark.
Had a big quarter, Ridley, all of a sudden, back into the game. Collingwood front half looking pretty impotent at the moment.
To half back to Kelly. Works it to Heppel. Hand pass to Hind, who kicks up to Durham, who marks on the wing. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Ben Hobbs is down in the Bombers' rooms. He's been sore all afternoon. He was subbed out last week with a shoulder injury. He's been checking with the physios all game, and potentially an injury there again for him. He's down in the rooms at the moment getting assessed.
Durham long towards half forward. Dropping the mark was Cameron. Great smother though by the Pies as Maynard slow to rise. He might have hurt his shoulder here. Noble kicks up towards Myercheck. Used his body well against Ridley. Brings it to the front. McCreary over around the footy. Merritt could have been tackled when he didn't have the footy. It spills underneath he and McCreary. And also Brody Myercheck, and the umpire will ball it up. Jess, I think Braden Maynard's about to come towards you on the bench.
He's looking very sore, was slow to get up. He's been assisted to the ground by a couple of trainers. That left shoulder is the worry. Looks like he's going to head straight down the race as well.
Essendon by 7. We're about to have a decision here on the wing. A Stringer lays a big tackle and the ump says holding the ball. You always know there's a decision coming when there's that momentary pause, and John Noble sitting on the footy, and the ump was happy to blow the whistle and say that's holding the ball. Free kick for Essendon. Jake Stringer, who kicked the last goal, just kicks it to centre half forward. Martin leaps for it, no mark. Fist from Hoskin Elliott, spills down to Shield. Clean hands to McGrath, puts it out in front of Jones. Just out of reach, and Howe onto it for the Pies. Hooks the kick down the southern boundary line. McGrath's there, he's tackled immediately by Elliott. He never took possession. And a free kick for the Bombers, and now it's on again. Another melee.
Could be a 50 here.
And it will be. And he wasn't happy with all of that. Quaynor after that heavy tackle from Elliott on McGrath. And in the end, a 50-metre penalty is going to be paid against the Pies for remonstrating.
It was just smart by Andy McGrath. Just knew that he was under enormous pressure, and without taking possession of the football, just tapped it in front of him and was taken down the tackle, and then gets a 50 from a bit of ill discipline from the Collingwood Football Club.
He's looked threatening again today off the back flank. Andy McGrath to be really damaging in front of the scoreboard. He misses. Out to the right and behind. 9-7 to 8-5. 22 minutes into the third. Momentum entirely with the Bombers. They lead it by 8 points.
Darcy Moore looks to bring Collingwood back into play. Takes a bounce as he runs inside the defensive 50. Long kick to the wing. Cox a 2-on-1. Zerk Thatcher did well. Cleared a path for Draper, who takes the contested mark on the southern wing.
Just starting to dominate the air, aren't they? Yep. All over the ground, the Bombers.
Turns and comes inboard into the corridor to Heppel. Now to Shield, to Ridley, who kicks out to Hind on the members' wing. Just shifting the Collingwood defence so well. Comes inboard, spots Shield. Either he or Heppel could have taken the mark as Ginnivan stands there and tries to push him back behind his mark. Shield looks for options on half forward. Loads up with a long kick. Peter Wright sets himself. Flies, got hands to it. Couldn't complete the mark. Now Pendlebury over the footy. Retreats back by hand to Crisp. Dodging and weaving Langford. Hand pass to Quaynor to Josh Dacos under immense pressure. A high up and under kick to halfback. Guelphy and Durham underneath. And in the end, Pendlebury gets a fist onto it to spoil it out of play. 50 metres out from the Bombers' goal under the Olympic stand. It's Essendon leading by 8 points.
Quarter time in Perth, Aaron Bryans.
Corby, the Eagles lead by 5 points, 3-1-19 to the Saints, 2-2-14.
It's the Bombers by 8 here. Time on in the third. And the boundary throw-in. Draper tries to throw his boot at it. Ball bounces away to Adams off half-back. Hand pass to Quaynor. Backs his pace in. He was caught by Jones. Hand pass went to Durham. Short kick to centre-half forward for Essendon. Ball pinballs around about 10 legs. Spills to Guelphy. Hand pass to Merritt. Kicks to the hot spot. Out to meet it. Murphy takes some contact. Langford picks up the footy. His hand pass missed the target. And Elliott's onto it for Collingwood. Hand pass to Pendlebury. Away to Josh Dacos.
Takes a bounce to the back edge of the centre square. His hand pass along the turf. Trying to link up with Lipinski. And the moment's lost, although Jones... It's a free kick from the back, and it's coming back to Josh Dacos, so we'll be happy to have that moment back again. Guelphy giving away the free kick. Dacos straight down the middle, Cameron up, couldn't complete the mark. The Bombers through Heppel, works it to Nick Martin, kicks out to the southern wing, no one's there. Quaynor takes the mark for Collingwood. He can reload and kicks towards half forward. Hoskin Elliott marks. At left half forward, but the Bombers have pushed numbers back into defence.
Yes, all the avenues are dried up to goal at the moment for the Pies.
Cox and Mychek deepest, puts it in that path. Up goes Ridley with one arm, gets a hand to it. As Heppel and Cameron are scrapping both on the deck. The ball goes out of play in the left forward pocket for the Pies. Jess Webster.
Good news for the Bombers. Ben Hobbs is back out onto the ground after getting his shoulder assessed. Still no sign of Brandon Maynard in the Pies rooms.
First 11 goals of the game to the City end, 5 of the last 6 to the Punt Road end. From the boundary throw-in, Draper palms it down. Martin's hand pass back in dispute. He's taken high. Free kick for Nick Martin. 21-year-old first-year Bomber. Picked up in the pre-season. He goes short to the back pocket. And Hind takes the mark. So Maynard and Hobbs both hobbled on the bench. Redmond's been subbed out. Internal bruising at half-time, so Ham into the game. Collingwood haven't used their sub in Josh Carmichael. There's a long kick from Merritt across the centre square, finds Durham. And goes short and wide back out to Jake Kelly. And a slow play here, Essendon. Back to Ridley, marks at half-back and pokes the pass to the low goal of the broadcast wing to Durham.
Slow build up for the Bombers as Collingwood are well set defensively. Durham now decides to just bang it inside 50 towards Peter Wright or Stringer, who flew in front, couldn't take the mark. Guelphy ducks the tackle. Hand pass to Caldwell, to Langford, out to Heppel. 45 metres out, his hand pass missed Merritt, who now becomes the tackler on Lipinski. And he's going to penalise him holding the ball. Well, what prior opportunity did he have there?
I mean, it's a great tackle, but he whiz.
He did have the arm pinned, I suppose, so I mean, technically he couldn't really release the hand pass, but I'm not sure he had any prior opportunity.
Well, that doesn't encourage the player wanting to go pick up the ball,
yeah,
does it? Because you don't get an opportunity to release it and you get pinged holding the ball.
He's having a day out, Zach Merritt.
He's had 12 disposals in this third term, only one hand pass. He kicks towards Durham, who takes the mark despite McCreary trying to make front-on contact. He marks in the left forward pocket. He's going to give it to him. Stringer on 50. Has he got the leg? It's across the face of goal. In the pack. Draper! Has he got enough of it? He has in the eyes of the umpire. Wright was there. Draper as well. And the tallest Bomber pulls it down.
Well, he kicked a banana from the other side last week. This is an easier banana, isn't it, Murph? He's only got to kick it 8 metres, but it'll test him out nonetheless.
You think the right foot banana or the left foot snap? Greeny's got that in the repertoire.
I don't think I've ever seen him kick on his left foot. So
up against the right behind post, steps out, snaps on the right, and executes this as lovely.
What a celebration.
And how's the celebration? The running man. As he puts through his first of the afternoon, and the Bombers are firing on all cylinders as they're out by 14 points. And all of a sudden, Sam Draper's become a highlight reel. 10-7-67 to Collingwood 8-5-53, and all of a sudden the Magpies have found themselves flat-footed as the Bombers have slammed on 10 of the last 12 goals of the match.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, completely flat-footed. They've just got all the running, the Bombers. The Pies just screaming out for three-quarter time here so they can catch their breath and reset, but gosh, what a game he's played. Sam Draper, the longer it's gone on, since quarter time really, he's just been dominant, hasn't he, in that ruck position. Him and Phillips have far outshadowed the Cameron-Cox combination. Incredible stuff.
Dominant display, and now a goal to go with it. As Cameron back in the middle, wins a hit out here. Adams hand pass to Lipinski, kicks out to the wing for Josh Dacos. Hand pass into the path of McCreary, running out of room. The chase from Hind forces the turnover. McCreary kicks it out on the full. And now Zerk Thatcher will go short back to Hind. McCreary didn't give up on it and punches it 12 rows back. Boundary throw in forward pocket for Collingwood. 10 of the last 12. Myercheck, the only Collingwood player to have kicked a goal after quarter time. And this is after the Pies led by 37 points at the end of the first term. 6 goals to zip, and I don't think anyone at the ground saw the turnaround coming that we've witnessed thereafter. The Bombers in command. Boundary throw in forward 50 for Collingwood. Cox grabs it out of the ruck, kick smothered by Stringer. Ricochets to Merritt, he paddles it out, but straight to Josh Dacos. Hand pass to McCreary, half forward, kicks to the top of the goal square. Outnumbered Myercheck, the fist came from Zerk Thatcher. And another Essendon quarter. They kick 5 goals to 1 to replicate what they did in the second term. They back it up in the third. And the Bombers now lead the game by 14. One in which they previously trailed by 37. That is a 51-point swing in proceedings. And Essendon by 14 points over the Pies, with Collingwood needing to win to make it into the top 4 at the end of the round. The goal kickers, 3 for Peter Wright. We've got singles down the page to Draper, Langford, Jones, Stringer, Phillips, Guelphy and Martin. While for Collingwood, 3 for Ash Johnson. They all came in the first quarter. 2 for Brodie Myercheck. And then singles for Josh Dacos, Scott Pendlebury and Darcy Cameron. Dons by 14, Clenchy at three-quarter time.
We had a thriller on Anzac Day. Collingwood led by 2 points at three-quarter time before they came home surging strong in the final term. Can the Bombers deny them this time, or will Collingwood once more prove the masters of the Great Escape? Stay with us on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Okay, buzzers ready. Which favourite music quiz is back on the ABC?
Papa's got a brand new bag of Spicks and Specs.
Join Adam Hills, Nick Warhurst and Alan Bro with new celebrity guests.
I'm not here to make friends.
For great music and some fun and games.
These are Willie Nelson's actual braids.
That's genuinely distressing.
All new Spicks and Specs.
Thanks for watching.
Back Sunday, August 7 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Here's a chance for Merritt. Kicks inside 50 and right on the lead. Couple of metres on Darcy Moore. 45-degree angle, kicking from 35 metres out. Beautiful execution from Peter Wright, who has his third.
Hobbs sends it to 2 metre Peter. No mark. Falls down to Langford. Langford puts Essendon in front. Moore with a beautiful kick, takes some ground and then swings it out wide to Howe. Pokes the pass into the path of Will Hoskin. Elliott never broke stride. Links up with Josh Dacos. Kicks to Myercheck. Backing back, takes the mark in the pocket for the Magpies. Brodie Myercheck snapping across the body, drills it.
Stringer on 50. Has he got the leg? It's across the face of goal. In the pack, Draper. Up against the right behind post, steps out, snaps on the right, and executes this as Radley.
What a celebration.
And how's the celebration? The running man.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
11th goal of the season for Sam Draper, and the celebrations are worth it every time he hits the scoreboard with the knees up to the chest and the mouth wide open as he was able to steer through a goal to give the Bombers a 14-point lead. 10-7-67 to Collingwood 8-5-53. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action. Mark Murphy and Luke Ball, your experts, with Jess Webster down on the boundary. Let's check in Perth, the West Coast Eagles and the Saints with Aaron Bryans.
Clinchy, the Saints lead by 7 points now after goals from Max King and Jack Higgins. The Eagles led by 5 at quarter time, but St Kilda now with the lead. 4-2-26 to the Eagles, 3-1-19. Jack Billings subbed out minutes into the game with a soft tissue injury without touching the footy, so Ben Long is on the park. And a nice little moment in the opening term with Josh Rodham kicking his first ever goal in his 44th game. But it is St Kilda leading by 7, early stages of the second quarter.
Thanks, Aaron. Earlier today, it was the Blues by 36 points over the Giants, with Charlie Curnow booting 4 and Harry Mackay 2. Toby Green with 3 goals for the Giants. The thoughts of Luke Ball and Mark Murphy, your experts on ABC Sport.
Well, again, it was an annihilation, really, from the Bombers. The numbers across the board really ugly from the Pies' point of view. They had almost 40 more possessions, dominated around the contest, and then they were able to spread. They're just covering the ground better. I'm just wondering who can the Pies inject into that midfield mix who's got some zip, because they were just left flat-footed so often. And it was led by Zach Merritt really from the get-go that quarter. He had 13 possessions, 10 of those uncontested, and 5 inside 50s, and 4 of them led to scores. So he's having a day out, and really was able to run around on his own and do what he wanted that quarter. But yeah, as I said, they were stronger in the contest. Their contested footy was brilliant, and then they spread and got out on the Pies a lot better and left them flat-footed. So they've been in this position. We know that, the Pies. We've heard the coach talk about their will to win and their belief. Well, when they get another massive challenge today, you just get the feeling that the way the Bombers are covering the ground, Murph, and just their speed around the contest, it's going to be a pretty tough challenge for the Pies this afternoon.
It is, and the aerial contest, I think you alluded to it in that third quarter, that Essendon are winning that really well just around the ground, but inside 50 marks is 10 to Essendon to Collingwood's 5, so they're certainly getting a real strong presence inside 50, and if you're having that many marks inside 50 by three-quarter time, you're going to go a long way to winning most games of football. So that's an area of the game that Collingwood need to clean up, because they've got some great intercepting players down there in their defence, but just the smart ball use from Essendon really from quarter time, just to be patient, lower the eyes, and then when there's an opportunity to go in long and go strong to some of their tools down there, they've been quite telling in some of the marks they've been taking. But as we all know, the midfield battle is always where it's won and lost, and Collingwood have certainly got a bit of a touch-up in there today. The hit-outs have been pretty even, but it's just been the work at ground level from Essendon that have really been on top. So
it's all to play for here in the last quarter.
We've heard McRae say we prefer to go down by 10 and have a crack and not die wondering. So you know that they're going to keep coming this quarter and have a crack at the Pies.
Into the final 10 we go. Essendon by 14 points, a place in the top 4 on the line for the Pies. First clearance goes the way of the Bombers. A chance for Merritt. Gets the hand pass to Nick Martin, who works it 1-2 with McGrath, and Martin kicks out to the southern wing. Awkward one for Snelling. He can't gather with Noble there, and it goes out of play. The Bombers have led at three-quarter time on 4 occasions. Corby, they have won. How many of them?
All 4.
All 4.
I think Nick Dacos is probably going to have to go into the middle at some stage, Murph. He started across half-back, but they're giving the senior guys a go, but I think they're going to have to inject some youth and speed in that middle.
Collingwood have won all 6 of their games by 11 points or less that have been thrillers. As the Bombers work it up to Stringer, he takes the mark at left half forward. He veers out to the right, wants to move it quickly inside 50. Long towards Guelphy. Quaynor, excellent one-handed mark. He takes it 25 metres out from his defensive goal. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Braden Maynard has been subbed out of the game for Collingwood. Didn't pass a fitness test on his left shoulder, has ice on the back of the bench. Meanwhile, on the Bombers bench, Sam Draper, he's also now got a case of blisters, getting some treatment on his right ankle.
It's the 18 degrees, Corb, the extra heat, just the sweat in the socks and blisters in July. Goodness me, you'd reckon the boots would be worn in by now.
So Josh Carmichael into the match, the medical sub for the Pies, had 24 disposals against the Crows, 24 kicks last week. As the long kick from Howe up to the wing, intercepted by Ridley, and the Bombers will take it back centre wing member side.
Getting ready for the Northern Hemisphere winter. Maybe the boot manufacturers just releasing a whole lot of new boots, and the boys maybe sampling a few of those. As Ridley goes short away to Heppel, who then kicks it inside the forward 50 across the front of the pack. Moore knocks it out of play. So just repeating that news, Braden Maynard out of the game, subbed out Josh Carmichael to sub. The 22-year-old in his 3rd game is into it, while Mason Redmond with internal bruising subbed out at half-time for the Bombers. Braden Ham has played the second half. Both teams using their sub for Collingwood. It's the first time in 6 weeks they've had to use it from the boundary throw-in. There's a free kick for a hold. It's going to go Essendon's way, and they'll get a look at the sticks here through Matt Guelphy. He was tackled without it by Noble, and Guelphy will shoot from around 45 out at right half forward.
What were you like, Bully, with your blisters? Were you
no good? Yeah, shocking in pre-season. Yeah, absolutely. But that's why it's a bit strange. Mid-July, you should have the feet and the boots worn in by then. But yeah, I was a tape the feet up.
Yeah,
a fair
toes.
Bit. Yeah, ball of your foot and big toe. Anyway, big kick this.
Don't let the peroxide hair fool you.
Oh, look at that.
The blue-collar worker, Matt Guelphy, dumps it for the Bombers. They kick the all-important first goal of the final term. And he's the sort of footballer that every team craves. Matt Guelphy with his second. 11-7-73. Collingwood 8-5-53. The Dons by 20. We've witnessed a 57-point swing in proceedings 3 minutes into the final term.
Peroxide hair and the pink mouth guard, you're right, but he's getting to that stage, Matt Guelphy, where he's almost number one magnet on the board. Murph, he's unconditional in his attack on the footy and his effort. He's not a high possession player, we know that, but he's finding a niche for himself as that defensive forward and has the ability to hit the scoreboard like he has today. So 2 goals is a good return from his 12 possessions. He spent some time on Quaynor, he spent some time on Nick Dacos. He's such a much-loved player at that club. Tough for the Pies now.
Luke Ball with you on ABC Sport. The Bombers out by 20 points. Back in the middle of the ground. Elliott in the middle trying to get a clearance. Can't do so. Nick Martin over the footy. Stringer emerges with it. Brushes the tackle of Elliott. Hacks the kick towards half forward on the bounce for Langford. Tries to slap it to Hobbs. Could have been held by Nick Dacos. He gathers the footy. Hobbs gathers him. Great intent from the Bombers. He's through support of Caldwell. Locks the young Collingwood star up at half back. Thrown in the air. Cox and Phillips. Phillips knocks it down. Caldwell, hand pass through traffic to Durham, to Stringer, gets to 45 metres out, fires on goal and misses everything. Out to the left-hand side, out of bounds on the full. Bombers leading by 20 points.
Didn't touch it in the first quarter, Jakey Stringer, but slowly worked himself into the game. 11 possessions, 4 score involvements and a goal himself.
Darcy Moore with the short kick away to Murphy, who marks at half-back.
He's getting aggressive, isn't he, around the contest. You can just see him barging through, wanting the ball. It's good to see.
Nathan Murphy into the centre square for Elliott. At full stretch, takes the mark. Just backward of the centre circle, swings it across the centre square. Hoskin Elliott marks. Jim McCreary's out, receives the hand pass, closes to 45, on the run, misses. Gee, they needed that. Collingwood have kicked just 2 goals after quarter time. Essendon have whacked through 11. 5 minutes into the final term, Essendon by 19 points. 5.5 played final term.
A couple of players, Ash Johnson, who kicked 3 in the first quarter. Nathan Murphy haven't touched it since quarter time. As the Bombers work it out of defence, Kelly to Hine, who takes the mark through now. Nick Martin at left half back. Looks long down the southern wing. Sets it up in the path of Langford. A free kick for a Shepherd. It's coming back. And a Collingwood free kick going the way of Isaac Quaynor. Middle of the southern wing, under the Shane Warne stand. IQ3 looks at options further afield. Decides to kick it inboard towards centre half forward. Mychek it behind. Couldn't take the mark. Kelly gathers for the Bombers. Hand pass out in front of Snelling. He soccers it forward. Can't clear Nick Dacos, and now becomes the tackler on Langford. He had prior opportunity, said the umpire, and pings him holding the footy. A couple of tough calls for both sides in this third and final term as Nick Dacos kicks towards half forward. Nothing but Bombers there. Ridley dealt with an awkward half volley ball. Got it to Hobbs, who at half back looks at options.
Hobbs kicks through the centre square. Guelphy hits him straight in the scone. There's a free kick
downfield.
Hobbs was dumped up to get him rid of the footy, so free kick for Guelphy. Essendon all flood forward, shares it with the captain. Heppel chips it short to Kelly, hands it back to Heppel, wants to get on his left side. He fools McCreary and then kicks right to the behind line. Murphy punches it out of play. And a boundary throw in forward pocket for the Bombers. IQ3, Isaac Quaynor. If I had the initials IQ, I'd want the highest number they could possibly give me. You don't want a low number. It's IQ. You want a real high.
Isn't the Michael Jordan line have something that matches numbers, initials?
Give me sort of 116 and above.
Thrown back in. Cox tries to slap it to the back. Durham probably threw it as he tried to flick it inside 50. Quaynor had it. And the free kick will go the back way of Jack Crisp. So good creative thinking, but not quite executing it. Kicks up towards Taylor Adams, dragged down by Hobbs. Chopping at the arms, and Collingwood with a couple of free kicks have worked it up to centre wing. So what would CM number be?
That's a good question.
You would have a thought for this. Kicks up towards half forward. Cameron had a spoil. Down to Draper. Hand pass to McGrath. Works it to Heppel. He's going to retreat back. Kelly has space. Looks into the corridor and spots up Ridley.
So Ridley, deep in defence. He's going to kick to a one-on-one. And Langford and Josh Dacos. And Langford wins the battle. Takes the mark defensive side of the southern wing. Essendon by 19. Short kick to Hind.
They're really spreading the ground well here at the moment. They're sitting really wide and long on the ground.
Snelling free in the corridor, hits him up. Snelling looks inside 50. Durham takes the mark. Just went to go and drew Nick Dacos into the air, and in the end Durham was able to take a relatively simple mark, right half forward, 35 out.
Just really smart changing of angles. They had the ball in one side, went around and then came back through the corridor and then found another player on the outside. So just weren't rushing themselves, just playing it really smart, just waiting for their teammates to make some space. And they're getting great width at the moment on their offensive play at the moment, the Bombers.
It's been all Essendon after quarter time. Sam Durham, his set shot is out to the right and stays there. Dons lead the game by 20, 11-8 to 8-6, 9 minutes into the final turn.
Collingwood out of defence. Howard and Nick Dacos. Now Pendlebury has problems and Stringer's got him. He'll win a free kick for holding the footy. Didn't the Bombers fans love that in the Ponsford stand? As Jake Stringer locked him up. He's just a couple of steps in from the boundary. He'll start up against the fence. And if you were to write a script for Jake Stringer, this would probably be it. Has to move the water bottle out of the way. A couple of Bombers fans leaning over the fence, telling him what to do. He might just turn back to them after he sails this through. Stringer starts outside the boundary, fires on goal. It's right-hand side. It's not coming back enough. The Bombers lead by 21 points. Aaron Bryans watching West Coast and St Kilda.
Clinchy, the Saints by 3 at the moment, 5-4-34 to 5-1-31 halfway through the second. Josh Rotham kicking his second goal. Dan Butler doing the same. Saints up by 3.
Nick Dacos on the kick out finds Crisp at half-back. They need something to happen, Collingwood. They don't look like scoring or winning it from here. Sweeping hand pass to side bottom, back to Crisp. Runs the gauntlet through a number of Bombers. Got a hand pass away to Cameron. Kicks to centre half forward. Great kick. And the mark taken by the sub in Carmichael at centre half forward for Collingwood.
Well done to Jack Crisp, because nothing's been happening at the moment. They're trying to penetrate the Bombers' defence, but just a bit of run and dash and just make it up as you go. Just forces a few errors from the mindset of the Bombers in terms of which way to press and just open up a little gap.
Bombers by 21. It's time to go for Collingwood. Josh Carmichael, first kick of the game. Kicks it straight through. Collingwood still alive. And what a way to announce yourself. His first game, or his first moment in the game for Collingwood, having been subbed in for Braden Maynard. And Josh Carmichael brings the margin back to 15. 11 minutes into the final term. Collingwood 9-6-60. Essendon 11-9-75.
Yeah, well done. Nice finish. And he's going to be important if there are any chance, isn't he? You look across the ground, the guys that do have some run in their legs, because they have looked tired, since quarter time, really, certainly the second half, the Pies. And Josh Dacos has gone to the middle. Quaynor, Crisp, you mentioned, involved then. So, as we said at three-quarter time, such has been the way of the coach. They're going to go down swinging. They're not going to die wondering. They prefer to lose by 6 or 7 and have a crack at winning. So that makes them a little bit dangerous, but they need to get 2 in a row here.
Collingwood's first goal of the final term. Draper gets a little soccer onto it, but Josh Dacos runs it. Retreating ground. Hat pass to brother Nick. He arches the back, gets away from Hobbs. Hat pass inboard to Crisp. Back to Lipinski through the middle of the crowd. Kick over the head of a Bombers defender, and Elliott almost ran onto it. A chance for Collingwood on the last line. Kelly, did he throw it? Got it to McGrath, got away with one. Kicks to Durham. Could have been taken high by Bianco. McCreary onto it. To Lipinski. Hand pass to Bianco. Kicks across the face.
Oh, geez, he had side bottom.
Yeah. Zirk Thatcher rushes it through for a minor score. It felt like there was a couple there that could have been called. They let it go. The Bombers leading by 15.
Geez, it looked a throw, didn't it, Jacob Kelly?
I think they put a volleyball spike almost, wasn't it?
The crowd just saw the replay. Of course, his dad has been cheered on for so many years, a premiership player with the Collingwood Football Club, Craig Kelly, and Jake now in Essendon colours. Part of the old enemy is the long kick from McGrath down the boundary line. Moore competes, it slips out of play. And a boundary throw in high half forward for Collingwood.
Geez, it would have made it interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's the cool heads that really prevail in pressure type games like this, when it's all on the line, to be able to take that extra half a second and find a free rather than just throwing it on the boot.
Bombers by 14, but it feels like a single goal may have shifted momentum as Draper palms it straight down, and we'll have a ball up again at his feet as the man passing through Durham locked up straight away. A ball up on the members' wing. Dons by 14.
Draper and Cameron. Cameron won it down. Adams' hand pass was smothered. It spills to Josh Dacos. Hand pass to side bottom. Dodging and weaving against the boundary to Josh Dacos. Over the top. Works with Carmichael. Lipinski, little fumble. And Carmichael has to go again. Can't dribble a kick away from the congestion. Snelling's hand pass to Laverty under pressure. To Merritt. Inboard to Caldwell. To Snelling. It opens up in front of him. To Shield. Back to Snelling. Hand pass picked up by Pendlebury. Through the middle of the MCG. Spots up Johnson. He looks inside 50. Elliott on the lead. He's got him. All the experience and composure of Scott Pendlebury. He found Johnson and he found Elliott.
It was a smart ball used by Scotty Pendlebury, but it was just the overuse of handball. They did really well there, the Bombers, to have 3 or 4 handballs to get out of the danger area, but it was another extra handball that really invited the pressure and the turnover that sees Jamie Elliott get on the end of this one.
Just the 11 disposals and a behind for Jamie Elliott this afternoon, but a chance to make a big impact on this clash and bring the MCG to life. Elliott from 40 steers it through. Here come the Pies, the kings of the thrillers. The Bombers by 8 points. Can the Pies continue to charge? 10-7-67 to the Bombers, 11-9-75. The Pies with 2 quick goals in 4 minutes.
Yeah, good call, Murph. It was Zach Merritt, who's been best on ground today, who had the composure and the cool head to get the Bombers out of the traffic in that defensive 50. But the overuse and the Pies, they came forward to defend, they pressed, so took a bit of a risk, and Pendlebury, again with that cool, composed head, lowered his eyes. Ash Johnson, who you mentioned, hasn't done anything since quarter time, gets an important goal assist to Jamie Elliott, and all of a sudden, they couldn't do it again, could they? There's some life back in this one.
8 games this year decided by under 2 goals. Collingwood are 7-1 in such games. Darcy Moore told Clinchy pre-game, it's no coincidence we have that kind of record. They know how to close in these moments. Bombers by 8. Phillips down to Stringer. Hand pass to Shield. Away to Martin on the wing. He kicks inside 50. Quaynor.
Been great, hasn't he?
Yeah, big quarter.
And IQ just outsmarts Langford to take the intercept mark. A hand pass away to Nick Dacos at centre half back. Hand pass to Howe. Ugly kick. Phillips slips over. Zerk Thatcher had the blinkers on. He's run down from behind by Majacek. Wins it back for Collingwood in the middle of the G. Hand pass to Pendlebury. Crowded forward 50. Pendlebury delivery superb.
He's paid it.
Carmichael again.
Ooh.
And Josh Carmichael, the mid-season recruit, the 22-year-old in his 3rd game, who's just come into the action for the injured Braden Maynard, has a chance to kick his 2nd in a matter of minutes.
Oh, well, halfway through the 3rd quarter, he had the sweats on, didn't he? He'd be thinking, am I going to get involved or not? And all of a sudden, he might be the hero. Mature age player, so played a bit of senior footy in the Sandful. Won't be overawed.
He's 5 in from the boundary line. Collingwood have completely changed momentum.
Oh, look at
Carmichael never looks like missing. This is just getting good at the G. 17 minutes into the final term. 3 in a row for Collingwood. 2 of them for Josh Carmichael. Collingwood 11-7-73. Essendon 11-9-75. In front of almost 70,000.
Well done to Josh Carmichael. You made mention of he wouldn't be overawed because he's played a lot of football in the Sandful. I doubt there's probably been 70,000.
Yeah, it's a big step up.
At a 15-minute mark in the last quarter against one of the arch rivals in Essendon to go back and slot that from 45 on a really quite a tough angle. We were right behind it here.
Beautiful kick.
Just a great little rhythm on the way in to kick the football and put it straight over the goal umpire's hat and let the crowd know all about it after it. Well done.
They look on. I just thought they didn't have any run, but all of a sudden there's a bit of ping in their step back to the centre bounce, and now it's over to you, Bombers. Can you stop the flood here?
Collingwood's pressure's lifted. All of a sudden, 3 goals in 6 minutes. Lipinski, hand pass to Taylor Adams with the clearance. He slipped over. Carmichael in the middle, sockers it out to Hoskin Elliott. Can't take it cleanly. Heppel's in there for the Bombers. Got it to Phillips. Hand pass to Merritt, gets the advantage. Works it forward to Stringer. Looks inside 50. Kicks towards Peter Wright. It's along the deck. Darcy Moore slides in and knocks it out of play. A throw in the left forward pocket. Wright wanted it deliberate. The umpire says throw it in.
Just needed a better inside 50 kick there.
Yeah.
Just to put it to
more dangerous spot. Yeah,
right
plenty
space.
of time, Murph. There's still 8 minutes, so still need some cool heads here, both teams. Plenty of time.
72,402, a banging roll-up for Sunday afternoon footy at the G as Cox wins the hit out from the boundary throw-in. Snelling in the pocket, extracts it to Guelphy. Hand pass to the top of the goal square. How close to the boundary line. Jones sweating on him. Hand pass couldn't get it to Moore. Hobbs steals it. Hand pass to Guelphy under pressure. His hand pass picked off. Murphy for Collingwood kicks to half-back. Great pick-up McCreary. Hand pass to Howe. They've worked it out. Gives it to Bianco. Kicks along the ground to Crisp. He's tackled. He gets out of the McGrath tackle. Hand pass to Lipinski. Gives it to Bianco. Kicks down the line, but Laverty chops it off.
Hand pass inboard to Zerk Thatcher. Straight back to where it came. And Durham takes the mark. Right half forward for the Bombers. They've had their lead dwindle back to just 2 points, having led by 20 early stages of the final term. Durham looks inside the 50, sends a high long ball in the direction of Wright and Phillips. Jones in from the side, couldn't hang on. It hits the deck. A chance for Hobbs. He could have been held when he didn't have it. Guelphy around the boundary line. Murphy picks it up for Collingwood. High ball to half back. McCreary turned his back to the play. No whistle. Spoiled down by Ridley. It comes to Merritt. He slipped over. Taken by Crisp. He quickly kicks to half forward. No one there for Collingwood. Racing back is Kelly. He gathers. Hoskin Elliott gathered him. He gets it to Laverty at right half back. It was a tense moment, but he executed well.
It's an unusual handball, but the ump said it was okay.
He started running out there, Corbin, or slipping over.
Couple of nervy moments. Kelly in the final term. He finds Zerk Thatcher back to Heppel. Heppel missed Martin. Martin runs onto it. They go to the fat side out on the southern wing. Hits up Harry Jones, who takes the mark. 2-point game. Essendon lead Collingwood And the Bombers have led by as many as 21 in the quarter. Collingwood led by 37 at quarter time, so both teams will feel like they've had the game won at various moments. Jones goes short to Hind, and Hind short to Martin. He goes back to Heppel.
This is smart play from the Bombers. Just take a bit of the sting out of the game, but Pies had all the momentum.
Time on, final turn. Heppel inside 50. Moore and Wright wrestle for it. Spills down to Lipinski to Pies. Hand pass to Adams to Noble. Noble's caught holding the ball. He went to race off. He had two men on him, Snelling and Guelphy, and the free kicks going to Snelling.
It was probably fair enough. He did take probably two, 3 steps.
Yeah.
So
Jeez,
once you take that extra step, it's just the umpire's ready to pin you. So,
well, this will fall short, judging by his last effort.
He's not a long kick, so he just decides to lay it up top of the goal square. Cox punches it away. Guelphy where he needs to be, front and centre, can't take it clean. Moore got a hand pass out, but straight to Stringer. Stringer's gang tackled. He's in trouble. It's holding the ball. Free kick for Collingwood. And it'll come all the way back to Bianco in the back pocket.
He looks boundary side, kicks to Nick Dacos, hand pass to Howe on the defensive 50 to McCreary, over the top to Lipinski, hand pass missed him, but he runs onto it, centre wing member side, up to Jack Crisp, who marks on his chest. He's got Johnson pushing inside 50, goes by hand to Lipinski, now towards Johnson, working back, Heppel, he's got it, Johnson takes the mark. Just inside the boundary, deep in the left forward pocket. And having barely touched the footy since he kicked 3 goals in the opening quarter, a chance to put the Pies in front.
Well, I'm not going to say again, Murph, but he's played a lot of senior footy in the Sandful. Again, a little bit different than having to kick the winning goal in front of 75,000 at the G. But cool head, take your time, take your 30.
Ash Johnson steps out, snaps across his body, misses to the near side. And a minor score. The Collingwood fans were riding it. They might have been slightly behind.
Wasn't even close.
Bombers by a point. 22 minutes gone, final term.
That roar you heard with the Collingwood fans at the City
end. I
end.
don't know what they were watching. He probably could have run out a bit further and opened it up even further. But anyway.
They might have only seen it through one eye.
Yeah. Essendon on the kick out as Hind goes short to Laverty. It's the Bombers by a single point in front of 72,500. Wild momentum swings both ways. Laverty long to the wing. Right, swats it down. Bianco there for Collingwood. Kicks to half forward. Hines in front. Brings it down for Essendon. Hand pass to Durham. Hands it away to Heppel. Heppel kicks down the wing. G. Snelling's horribly outnumbered. Pendlebury takes care of him. Moore takes the mark. Hand pass to Nick Dacos. Kicks to Crisp. Inside the middle of the G. Zerk Thatcher told to stand. Crisp continues the shift out to the southern wing. Howe marks, hand pass to Nick Dacos, who loads up, kicks to the top of the goal square. Mychek competes, no mark. Elliott's there, takes on the tackler. Got a kick away under pressure. McCreary grabs it. 3 Bombers have got him. And a ball up 45 metres out from the Collingwood goal at centre half forward. Essendon by 1, time on in the last.
Tossed up, Draper, Cameron, Draper wins it down. It ricochets back to him, he kicks into the middle of the crowd. Howe up, takes the mark over the top of Harry Jones.
Just got to think their way through it here. Well, that's not thinking your way
Bombers
through
by a point, he misses Lipinski with his kick, a chance for the Dons. Nick Martin works it to Stringer through the middle of the crowd. His hand pass missed Jones, both sides feeling the pressure. He's brought down, got a hand pass forward. A chance for Collingwood through Pendlebury. Ham over the top of him. Pendles tries to knock it out. He's on his backside. He finds Josh Dacos. And now to Noble. Right half back for the Pies. Kicks up to the wing and Hoskin Elliott takes the mark.
Yeah. Bombers got a couple of loose back, so still plenty of time. Just got to think their way through it here, the Pies. Who's got the legs? Who's got the courage to run?
Is long, Draper is long, he sends it in that direction. Cameron for Collingwood tries to spoil it down. Johnson, big tackle. On cover, holding the ball. Goodness me. Johnson gets a free kick. I'm not sure where the prior opportunity was there. And Collingwood having it right half forward.
It's been a big roll of the final term. Ash Johnson kicks into a congested forward 50. Guelphy.
It's got to come to ground, that.
Guelphy takes an intercept mark. And he's not the tallest Bomber. And he played above his height there and takes the intercept mark in the back 50.
It's 2 big efforts from Matt Guelphy. The last inside 50 from Collingwood went back and had a big collision, and that one taking the mark. Well done.
Goes short to right in the back pocket. Bombers by 1. Still an eternity left in the game. Kicks down the line. No mark for Durham. Snelling tried to kick it forward. Unsuccessful. Snelling a second goal as he taken high. Got a hand pass out. Hobbs on the wing. Hand pass to Shield. Essendon with possession up by 1. He just kicks it forward in hope there's no one there. Jones has got to go outnumbered for the Bombers. Collingwood win it. A chance to reload. Murphy hand pass to Howe. He's caught. Holding the ball. Jones got him at centre half forward. And Harry Jones locks up Jeremy Howe as he tries to take a bounce. Slipped over. And Harry Jones with what could be a game-clinching tackle.
Well, I said it before. I don't know, there's a due that's set in because players have been slipping. In the last 5 or 6 minutes, players have been slipping over left, right and centre. And fatigue plays a big part in that. Howe's been brave. And they had the loose in the centre square, the Pies, but just lost his footing as he was loading up to kick. And Harry Jones was good enough to tackle. And he can ice the game here if he kicks straight. If he misses, plenty of time to go the other way. But
if he kicks it, Collingwood virtually can't win. Harry Jones from 45 metres out. His kick hits the post. Behind, Essendon lead by 2. 26 played, final turn. Pies got to go.
Final minute, Pendlebury into Darcy Moore. Kicks up to the members in this space. Bianco takes the mark, looks up to 50, kicks towards Elliott. One-on-one with Kelly. Elliott takes the mark. He takes the mark in the left forward pocket and he won't play on. He puts his hand up. He's going to take the shot on goal.
Well, the runner can't get out, of course, to tell him how long there is to go. Is there someone that can reach over the fence and tell him?
There's longer than he thinks.
Yeah, there is.
The final,
It'll be the last kick, though.
On the boundary goes up. 1 minute to go, so he knows there's under a minute. It's going to be the last kick of the match. Bombers lead by 2. Jamie Elliott with the footy in his hands to win the game for Collingwood. Deep in the left forward pocket, 45 metres out. Elliott kicks. He kicks. He goes. Call him Harry Houdini.
Unbelievable.
The Pies, the masters of the great escape, and they're celebrating with the fans in the front row of the Olympic stand. Collingwood win after the full-time siren. That's to Jamie Elliott by 4 points. The Magpies make it 9 consecutive wins and they're inside the AFL top 4. Write that script. All of a sudden, a 6th game decided by 11 points or less. And they have done it again. It seemed highly unlikely. So much to unpack. With Harry Jones at one end, unable to capitalise. He hits the post. And Jamie Elliott at the other nails it from deep in the left forward pocket. A heartbreaker for the Bombers. The Pies 12-8-80 to the Bombers 11-10-76. There is a special place in footy folklore for players who can kick goals after the siren to deliver victory. And Jamie Elliott with his second joins that club. And Collingwood, their remarkable season 2022 continues on. The Pies by 4 points. Goodness me, and the Bombers, who dominated from quarter time onwards, have victory stolen from their fingertips. For the Magpies, 3 goals to Ash Johnson, 2 to Myercheck, to Carmichael, both in the last quarter. The sub who came into the action after 3/4 time, and 2 to Jamie Elliott. Individuals to Josh Dacos, to Pendlebury, to Cameron. Meanwhile for the Bombers, 2 goals to Guelphy, 2 to Wright. Individuals to Langford, Jones, Stringer, Phillips and Nick Martin. Craig McRae with the hands on his head. He's shaking his head. He can't believe he's seen it for another week. Luke Ball, Mark Murphy, try and make sense of what we just witnessed.
Well, what a kick after the siren.
Unbelievable
He's
kick.
kicked that from outside the boundary line from probably 48 metres out. And mind you, walking in to kick that goal, the siren goes almost the last thing you want when you're walking in to kick that ball. What a finish from Jamie Elliott. Unbelievable as we hear the Collingwood chant echo around the MCG. Who would have thought that?
The celebration.
They had no right to win.
The celebration too, when he just points to his ear.
He's an old favourite of mine, Jamie Elliott. What a kick. And just to, I mean, it was a great mark. It was a 2-on-1. The kick came in. To have the presence of mind, I reckon as soon as he marked it, he thought, I mean, not knowing, he knew that it was not long to go, but he thought, this is probably going to have to be me here.
Yeah. It was the exact opposite of Richmond, wasn't it, on Friday night? He knew the scenario, took the mark, thought, this lives or dies on my kick.
Exactly. Could be 5 seconds to go, could be 30, but this is probably going to have to be it. And I mean, it is a gutsy effort. There's no doubt about it. They looked on halfway through that quarter, Murph. They had no legs, I thought. The Bombers were running on top of the ground. And, I mean, you look at all the numbers. Gee, they had no right to win it, the Pies, but they found a way again.
And it's a side that always does the basics really well. And fortunate enough for Collingwood, they've been in these close games so many times throughout the year. So they just know what's expected of them, and they basically just play their role. Whereas I think Essendon, in that last 45 seconds, they had a set shot to win it. And they were still all over the shot, weren't they? So defensively, Collingwood were just able to work the ball up pretty easily, weren't they?
That's a great point.
From the defensive half of the ground, obviously, they just hadn't set up Essendon at all.
Yeah. So Harry Jones hits the post, which is obviously a big moment. And then it goes Pendlebury, out to Moore, Bianco by himself in a mountain of space. 4 kicks to Elliott, mark inside 50. I mean, Essendon, to me, they were the better team of the day. Well, certainly, the last 3 quarters. But to your point, Murph, attention to detail, under pressure, has let him down there, and there's no way that the ball should have been in Elliott's hands.
Because you look to that last minute, and the leaders of Essendon Football Club should be saying, righto boys, let's get back and let's get corridor and let's get a man. So there's no need to be on the goal line because you're kicking the ball from 35 out. It's just attention to detail just really let them down and undid a lot of really hard work, because at quarter time, we're probably sitting here thinking it's probably going to be a 10-goal loss and it's going to be a long day at the MCG for them. But they were fantastic. But to the credit of Collingwood, they looked down and out, as you said, Bally, and able just to find a way. And for Jamie Elliott, who I love how you love him, because I find that he's been a player that's sort of been really unlucky over the years with injury and just hasn't got a really free run at it. And he's been a real class act throughout the journey. So for him to go back and kick that goal, and that's what you play footy for, and to experience games like that.
We talk all the time about score sources in the game nowadays, and I mentioned during the commentary that statistically you are twice as likely to concede a score from a kick out than you are to score one yourself. So if you're exiting after a behind, the chances are it's twice as likely that the attacking team is then going to score again before you get the chance to score down the other end of the ground. Collingwood went 3 goals, 19 from kickouts, which is high. Essendon just 1 score from kickouts, which was 1 straight, including obviously the game winner. So plus 13 Collingwood's way, and they win the game by 4 points.
Well, we used to talk about there's 3 ways to score, isn't there? There's clearance, stoppage, transition, which is the highest rate of scoring, and then right down the bottom at about 1 or 2% is from a kick out. And that's, in the end, in a game that's a toss of the coin, it can go either way. We talk about attention to detail. That includes how you set up from a kick out. Yeah. So whether the Bombers thought that was going to go through from Harry Jones and just switched off a little bit. There was way too much space, wasn't there, across the ground from that kick out. And they'll learn a harsh lesson from that.
It seems only fitting. Let's hear from the man of the moment, Jamie Elliott. Here he is chatting with Channel 7.
Talk us through that, mate. You obviously heard the siren sound as you were coming in on your approach. You hit it perfectly.
To be honest, I didn't hear it. You can hear the crowd. I actually didn't hear the siren go. I was about to swear. I don't know, to be honest, I'd fly in my head because he's been on to us about goal kicking, and him as a small forward, he relished that, and I just had him in the back of my mind. I don't know why. But kids are pretty sweet.
Did you know off the boot that it was home?
I felt good off the boot. It did.
Have a listen to this. You've won 9 games in a row, and a lot of those games you've had to come from behind and get the job done. How do you keep believing?
I don't know. I mean, I've known Craig for 11 years now. But he's instilled a belief, and we've got a young group as well. And we want to take the game on, and we've got a brand of footy that we want fans to come and watch and know what they're going to get every time they come here. And we've showed it in patches, like first quarter we were unbelievable, and then Essendon came back in the second and third, and then the last quarter we started. It's like we wait till we're behind to get aggressive again. I'd like to be up by more halfway through a game and not play those games, but
if you're up by more, you wouldn't have been able to have the match winner. It's something you dream about as a kid, and you've lived it.
I know, I've seen blokes do it, and I wanted to be in that moment, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without these blokes, and we fought back in that last quarter. We brought out pressure, we got more aggressive with our ball use, we stood up, down back. Yeah, it's a great win.
So that's Jamie Elliott with Campbell Brown, courtesy of Channel 7. So he didn't hear the siren. He knew it was flush the moment it hit the boot. And he had confidence that he was going to be able to deliver. And you think back to that moment, the Jeremy Howe run down by Harry Jones, and he must have thought, that's probably cost us the game. And it just shows it's never over till it's over.
It's an amazing kick. I mean, it made me think of sort of Jack Nunes, and I think it's even sort of further out than what Nunes was, but degree of difficulty high, wide out on the boundary line. Comes a third player this year to do it, that the other two being Jordan Dawson in the showdown, again wide out, and Noah Anderson a couple of weeks ago, obviously with the Gold Coast win over Richmond. But gee, that's a tough kick. Left half forward, and we touched on it about how he turned his back and said, look, I'm just going to go back and kick this goal. I'm confident that I can ice it from here, and ultimately ice the remaining seconds off the clock and ice the game with the last kick after the siren. An unbelievable finish. We love turning points in footy, and we mentioned it, Bally, in the last quarter, that it looked like the game was a wrap and Collingwood looked flat-footed. And Jack Crisp, who marked the ball at centre-half back from the exiting kick-out from Nick Dacos, ran the gauntlet through the middle of the ground, got a couple of key touches, and in the end, Carmichael kicks the goal at centre-half forward. But in Billy Pickens' famous number 25, he was able to really give the Pies a spark, which started that run of 4 consecutive goals.
I thought he was great. You're right. I was looking at who's got some legs, who can cover the ground. They looked flat-footed. They looked tired after half-time, the Pies. And again, we've heard the coach talk about we're going to go down swinging. We're not going to die wondering. We're not going to go into our shell. We're going to try and lose. We're going to risk losing by 5 or 6 to win it. And they did it again today. And yeah, you're right. Chris was magnificent. And you mentioned Carmichael. That's a great lesson as well for the kid, isn't it? You can be, he might have been a bit disappointed. I mean, he had 25 positions and a goal. He goes out of the team, starts as the sub. Not sure whether halfway through the third quarter, am I going to get on? Am I not? You got to be ready, don't you, for your moment? And he went back and just slotted straight through the middle, didn't he? From 40 to 45 metres out. So he took his moment. And Jamie Elliott, of course, takes his moment. So incredible stuff. But they didn't have any right to win. No. The Bombers were just all over them after half-time.
And Darcy Moore's line to you, Clinchy, pre-game. It's no coincidence we're 8-1 in games decided by under 2 goals. It's that's an amazing effort to be able to do it again, this time in the most dramatic of fashion.
Well, it builds belief, if nothing else. Everyone was starting to think, well, today's probably the day that they just can't come back, and yet they find another way to do so. The Pies are slowly making their way off. Josh Carmichael might have to be careful he doesn't miss the song here as we wait for 200. Let's check in with Aaron Bryant's halftime in the West Coast St Kilda game.
Clinchy, 4 lead changes in the second quarter, but St Kilda leading by 16 points. They kicked 4 of the last 5 goals. Jack Billings subbed out of the game. Luke Shuey has a shoulder concern. Tim Kelly's been tagged. He has just 1 touch at halftime. St Kilda leading by 16 points.
Thanks, Aaron. Collingwood winners here at the MCG by 4 points in front of 72,402 fans. Down to Jess Webster in the Collingwood rooms.
Players entering the rooms now, led by skipper Scott Pendlebury. Lots of family and friends in the rooms, giving them a very warm applause as they come in. Such an incredible victory against the old enemy on the MCG. In the top 4, currently at the moment, the Pies, as they're gathering to sing the song in a moment. I'm trying to dodge cables here in the rooms, as well as many other people, to try and get close as we have a listen to the song. A momentary hush as they gather in the circle. Pendlebury's just adjusting the crowd, and here we go.
So Collingwood winners by 4 points. We're going to head to the second half of the West Coast Eagles and the Saints. So, Jess, we might see if you can get Taylor Adams and just sort of fire 3 quick questions to him, because we want to take you to that second half with ramifications for the Saints and the top 8. But we need to get the 3, 2 and 1 in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Who's got the responsibility this afternoon?
Handball today. That's fine. No, we'll make this a combined effort.
Good.
It's a funny one. So the winners, we found it pretty hard to squeeze a Collingwood player in for a vote, but we're going to give one to Jack Crisp. You mentioned it, Corb. I thought pretty solid early, then drifted out of a bit, almost a little bit indicative of how the team went, but when the team needed the spark, and he went into the middle and created some real run, gave them some legs, 432 metres game, 7 score involvements and 23 possessions. So 1 vote to Jack Crisp, 2 votes to Dylan Shield, who continues on his good form, 30 possessions, 4 clearances, 7 score involvements, and I thought Zach Merritt was clearly the best player on the ground, 38 possessions, 15 of those contested, 9 clearances, 7 inside 50s and 7 score involvements. So 3 to Merritt, 2 to Shield and 1 to Crisp.
Well, let's head down to the Collingwood rooms with Jess Webster.
And with Taylor Adams, thanks for your time post-game. You've won in front of 72,000 fans at the MCG against the old enemy. You're in the top 4, 9 straight. Does it get any better than this?
No, I don't think it does. That was unreal. That's the first game I've been involved in where we've won after the siren. So, what a game of footy that was.
Let's have a chat about that Jamie Elliott match winner. Where were you on the ground, and did you back him to kick it from that position?
I was probably about 15 metres just inside the corridor there. And I was kind of hoping he'd send the ball to Bo McCreary, who was about 50 metres out. But I looked at him, he had this look in his eye, and he was like, I'm not passing this, I'm going to kick this. And that's one of the most clutch moments I've ever seen.
You mentioned it was the first time you've played in a game where you've won after the siren. What is that atmosphere like out there as a player? You guys were mobbed by the fans over the fence as you celebrated with them. Can you talk us through the emotions?
Yeah, to be honest, there's not a lot going through your head. I think we all just swamp Bill, and how cool is that to be right on the boundary line with our fans there, and I mean, there's no real words to describe the real emotion that you feel, but it does certainly feel very good.
Well, let's have a chat about the performances now. For the last 9 weeks, obviously you've won that many straight, a lot of close matches as well. How do you keep up that belief, and what are the confidence levels like amongst the group at the moment?
Yeah, we're really confident in our ability to keep fighting. We're probably outplayed for large parts of the game today. We started really well and let them back in the game in the second quarter, and they kept that momentum for probably about 45, 50 minutes through that second and third quarter. So we knew it was going to be an arm wrestle. But our ability to stay composed, when those goals keep piling on, it's easier to put your head down and think, shit, how do we stop this? But we've done a lot of work, behind closed doors of just staying in the moment, and we call it reset. And we feel like when we can do that we can start edging the game back in our favour, and we're able to do that tonight, and obviously stick in the game.
Well, I'll let you catch the breath, enjoy the win with the fans. Thanks for your time.
No worries, thank you very much.
Taylor Adams playing his 150th game for Collingwood. He played 31 with the Giants alongside Jess Webster after Jamie Elliott kicks an unbelievable goal after the siren to win the game for Collingwood. The Pies hit the last 4 goals of the match to win their 9th successive game, and they're inside the AFL's top 4. So all of a sudden, Geelong a game clear. It's just so even, and it makes it so interesting. So Melbourne on 52 points, Brisbane on 52, and now Collingwood on 52. But obviously the Pies with a percentage of 106.2, as opposed to Brisbane in third, 125, and Melbourne 128. So
just had a look at the review, or the replay, of the kick in down to Elliott. That won't make for great viewing on Monday from a Bombers' point of view, Murph. But yeah, you do learn a lot at this level, don't you, when you lose a close game like that. So we know that they're building now for next year, the Bombers, and they'll rue that one.
There's no doubt when they turn up tomorrow or Tuesday and go through the last couple of minutes that they'll all be shaking their head and think, what was I thinking there? Why didn't we do this? And that's the pressure of AFL football, isn't it? So, and that's why the good teams are always up there or thereabouts, because they get the basics right over and over again. They don't wait for extraordinary sort of things for players to do. You get, obviously, what Jamie Elliott did. Like, you can't teach that. That's just part of football. But just getting the basics right about setting up properly, organising teammates, doing the right thing over and over again. That's what Essendon will learn from today.
Yeah, and a lot to like about them for post-quarter time right through to really those last couple of minutes. So I thought they were clearly the better team. So we know that since in the last month or so they've turned it around. There is a lot to like about the way they're going about it, both from a team point of view. There's some individuals really growing. Draper and Martin continues on his good year. Merritt's had a great back half of the year. Young Durham and Guelphy. So there's a lot to like about it from a Bombers point of view, even though they'll walk away with a sour taste in their mouth today.
How many times does the phone ping, Murph, when you kick a goal to win it for your team? What will the next 24 hours be like for Billy Elliott?
Well, I've never kicked one after the siren, but I've kicked one close to it.
Close enough for us.
Yeah, the phone certainly does go off, and you hear from a certain people you've probably never heard of for 4 or 5 years. They've sort of just dwindled out of existence, but then they're happy to send the text through. But it's just they're a special time. It's
a few numbers not saved in the phone. Just
correct. Yeah.
So everyone's dream, and Jamie Elliott was able to do it for Collingwood, which moves them inside the top 4 with their 13th win. I think they finished second bottom last season. What an incredible season they're having. We're going to take you west. It's the West Coast Eagles trailing the Saints. The Saints 9-5-59. The Eagles 7-1-43 to Clint Weldon, Ben Cameron, Shane Woewode and Bo McDonald for the second half on ABC Sport.